Oh, it is time. You
Did
ready?
you get you one printed out?
What?
A new one?
No,
Are you?
I didn't print
Going?
out 168
Okay.
pages.
All right, we'll call the
Oh,
meeting
God,
to
I
order.
printed a new one.
The
Dang it, I
first thing
should've
on
done
our
that.
agenda is to consider and or approve the joint election and election services agreement between Clemens, Stinnett, Phillips Consolidated Independent School District in Hutchinson County and the joint election and election services agreement between Sanford Fritch ISD and Hutchinson County.
So I was contacted by an attorney from PSP elections or for PSP, and they want us to do their election. And then Fritch also contacted me, which I kind of already knew about Fritch. So they both want to be on our constitutional. So we will split the cost 3 ways. So, and they're aware of that. I've sent this to them. They have it in their hands, but I need approval from y'all to go ahead and proceed with this.
And what do we call that, a contract or?
It's an agreement,
interlocal?
right? It's just, this is one that Craig Jones
Oh, okay.
prepared for us when we did, all of the other entities, the
Yes,
cities and
yes. I was
everything.
just trying to
So
figure out what my
Joint
motion
election and election services
Okay.
agreement.
I move.
And
to-
they, I had one.
Okay.
The machines, so that we're using our machines, so we will get paid for that. I guess.
we program everything.
It's
We
in
split the cost 3 ways. So programming,
Oh, okay.
ballots, every expense we have is
Yeah.
split 3 ways.
Okay,
Election workers, 3 ways.
oh, okay.
So
I move to enter into a joint election agreement between Clemens, Stinnett, Phillips Consolidated Independent School District and Hutchinson County, as well as, I just lump them
Sanford
in
Fritch.
together, Sanford Fritch ISD for the upcoming election.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
also, Judge, this was approved last week.
Right,
and
we need everyone to sign it. This was the special election that we approved last week, and I just failed to pass it around and get everyone's signature on it.
Anyway,
I'll say the same thing. I looked at that.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the budget. So, I got the announce from Kathy and the new budget worksheet that Mark sent. Thank you. Lots of papers.
Yeah.
I do. Okay, just a couple of notes that I made. Postage, the Stinnett courthouse is gonna have to start paying for our post office boxes. I think this was probably something we maybe should have been doing all along, but they never charged us. So anyway, they are gonna start charging us. It's not significant. I've looked over everybody's postage line item, and if they're really close to being at their budget max, I added it in. If not, then I just left their postage alone. So their box rent will have to come out of their postage. Not a big deal.
so when does that start?
Well, I've got everyone's renewal date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so. Everybody. What do you guys have that jumped out at you when you were looking at your budget? Do you want to just start at the first? Because I think instead of skipping around a lot, it would be easier for me if we started. Which my budget is the very first one. So y'all have any questions about the county judge budget?
Nope.
Okay, county clerk.
Nope.
Okay, the next one is emergency operations. have any questions on that one?
Notice. No,
So before we go through this, can we talk about like the raises and stuff? Because I went through, for me, I went through, and if we have to, I went through like we had to cut hardcore. And so depending on what we talk about having to add, what's not, the raises are the only thing that aren't in this right now, right? That we're gonna have to probably add later, right?
Yes. Yes.
For me, I'd like to decide on that before we go through it and see kind of where we're at on the tax rate as presented, and then see how hard we have to.
Because that's gonna be at least another 250,000, right?
Well, depending on what people, I mean, 150 is 260,000, 63,000.
Yeah, yeah.
we had that worksheet that Kathy did. I thought I got it.
I've got them. Oh, and this one.
Right.
So yes, 150. If we went to 150 a month, then we are looking at $263,908.
$125.
My thoughts on that are with the cost of inflation this year, I'm okay with the 150 because the cost of inflation is anywhere from 4 to 7%. But for me, I want to add, if we're going to do that for our full-time, I kind of want to go up to 12 or 450 on the part-time as well. Because they haven't had a raise in 10 years. So I think that covers everybody with the cost of inflation. Did you say if every dollar is about 10,000 extra for part-time total?
Well,
What do you
we
think?
don't have that many.
Right.
I did put in the budget, the part-timers, if they had part-time line items in their budget, I raised it like $1,500. Because nobody really has more than one.
Yeah.
And the only ones affected was the museum, the library,
Airport.
airport. I did not raise on the district judges and stuff then, because they pay 15 anyway. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Right.
But I did raise it though to 10.50. So if I raise it another $1, 11.50, whatever, it's about 1,500 a person for every dollar.
You said we have 9,
No, we
Probably
only have
6.
like about 6.
6.
And some of them are like so part-time that they don't even, they don't, these ones I'm talking about, the museum, the library and the airport.
They're
and the
just a-
tax office. They work 29 hours a week. That's based on 29 hours a week.
I don't have any problem raising them up 1050. We get 950 now.
I don't really want to go to 11 or 12 right now.
No, I don't either.
But as far as the monthly part of it, 125 or 150, but
We're not raising part-time. I'm only 100 or 125.
I really, for this year, I'm leaning more than 125, but I'm open to any suggestions. So we have to make a lot more cuts if we go to.
So
Well, I agree. I agree.
125. So-
Yeah,
Everybody weigh in here
and we're gonna
because
have to, yeah, we're gonna have to make some cuts anyway, or raise the
we got
tax
some
rate.
cuts to make, but we want a little cushion too. I don't know.
I move to increase the employee's salary to 125.
We're still talking about this.
We're not making motions or anything. We're just under this.
Well, silence is a consensus.
I just think we need to be real careful.
Well, what do you think, Chris?
Well, I mean, my thing is, part-time, I mean, we've given raises almost every year.
Yeah.
Except last year, and district part-time, the district makes 15 an hour. And I don't know, when we're giving our full-time raises that are $1,500 to $2,000 every year, and we have a problem with raising part-time, that's my
I
struggle.
agree with you completely on that. If you went to what, 12,
I think so. I'm going to try to do this year with you guys' help. I do think the comp time is a possible solution for raises every year. Like if we set this possibly next year as the base salaries for everybody, and then we use comp time as the possible raises. So, because there are some counties that Kathy had sent me, she asked, like, so what happens is if we raise not comp time, sorry, longevity.
I'm going.
Sorry, I was looking at computer and it,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I
not comp
misspoke.
time. I'm
Yeah,
not there.
Okay.
Longevity,
Forget
longevity. And you change longevity pay to where every year they get more, and you make that as their incentive of raise. You incentivize them to work for us for longer, and then when they're gone, that longevity pay is gone and it reverts back to the base salary. And so that's a way that we can possibly solve that going forward, that once somebody works 20 years and they have that longevity pay that's paid out, they leave and it goes back to the base salary. And so,
I mean, that's gonna be a long discussion there.
well, that's
Well,
the next
even
year.
when they retire, you mean, it
That's-
goes
that's-
back.
Well, yeah, so like if you work, like you guys that have worked for years, they're breaking up the longevity pay, and then when they retire, the longevity pays no more. It's
So it
only the
reverts back
base
to a base salary.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
And so if you raise
But-
longevity pay,
So you can't use that raise for your retirement pay then. Well, you've already been paid the money, so you would, right?
What was that question?
If you would use that longevity pay as your retirement pay, as your wage, right?
That you'd pay retirement on?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
that was my
Yeah, we
question.
paid retirement on the gross amount.
Okay.
Like if like sheriff's department gets certificate pay, longevity pay, yeah, it's on the gross amount.
So at the end of their term or when they quit, that longevity pay does not, it doesn't pay, you go back to the base salaries.
It's
What
The
is that?
next person doesn't start with that same
Oh, okay.
longevity.
Yeah,
Okay, I
for
get you now.
instance, me,
Yeah,
When I retire at the end of next year, my longevity pay per year is, I don't know, $1,800 a year, something like that. That next person that comes in.
Starts
they're
at
not getting that
50.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the person that's retiring, but you're talking about somebody coming in or
The new
replacing.
person,
Yeah, okay,
the person that
right?
well,
take
well,
over
yeah, I
would
mean,
start
once-
at a base pay.
Yeah, people like Kathy, she's worked up longevity pay, and once, like she just said, when she's gone, that longevity pay just zeroes out.
Yeah,
And then the next person starts their longevity pay forward. That's not something I'm trying to solve now, but what I was saying is I'm trying to get it some more. For me, when the part-time haven't had raises in 10 years and we've raised full-time almost every year the last 10 years, we've got to get that to where it's
So you'd like to set the standard for part-time at 12.
12 or 12.50, just, I mean, that's about what we should owe that position for 9, 10
Our
years. with no
main
raises.
part-timers that work all the time, part-time for umpteen years, I don't even know how long she's been here, is Brenda Jackson in the tax office.
Right.
I mean, cause she works, you know, cause she does a certain thing in there for Carrie. And she's been the same person doing it. Now, like I said. the
Does that
airport-
affect anything? Like it affect her social security or?
Right, she pays retirement. We pay retirement on her, but no, it doesn't affect. 'cause she's
Even
already-
if we would give her a raise, it wouldn't,
Oh, no, 'cause
Okay.
I hate to say that she's over the age of that it affects you.
okay.
she's already getting it.
Yeah,
So how does longevity work with part-time people?
they don't get longevity. That is a benefit.
So we're just saying, we want to set the rate for part-time people at 12.50 regardless. comes in.
And it's up to the department head also to, if they want to pay that.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have
They can
some,
go in between there and minimum wage.
yes, like the library. I'd have to look back on theirs. I don't think they pay $9.50 right now for the library and that person. Because they don't, I hate to say this, they don't stay for a long time.
Yeah.
They're either, is that a school person now? I can't remember, Chris.
Well, I mean, she's in college.
Okay, all right, okay. But she's probably not gonna be there a whole lot for years and years to come, I wouldn't think. Most of the time, they're not. So it changes. I don't know that they ever get them up to that $9.50 or whatever, we've had it being all that time.
I think I'd be raising it to $12.50 is fine. I think it's long overdue, so I have no problem with that.
We can put the power back into the department heads or
But,
say up to 12 weeks.
So I go into the part-time line item, and on some of those, I'd add about $3,000 more.
how many part-timers do you have?
6.
Well,
What'd you
we've
say?
got the library, we've got the museum, we've got the airport.
Carrie,
Yeah, tax office,
there's 4.
and then we got another part-timer at the museum, but they don't work enough to really count too much. I mean, they work very few hours. And then the district people's really, they've got some.
But they're already paying,
Yeah,
we wouldn't have to change that one. So it's just 4, really,
Okay.
right? Am I right?
So you're saying instead of giving raises, working in the longevity one of these days?
That's one solution that kind of surfaced. I mean, like we've all agreed, that giving raises every year is just unsustainable unless we're gonna have a dollar tax rate in
Yeah.
5 years.
Exactly, I agree.
And that's one solution. I said that just to say, I want to get it as a baseline where we think is fair now, and then try to spend the next year also just thinking about that as a solution somehow.
So basically what
That's the
we're
only
saying
solution.
is we're given if we look at how the corporation operates, we're basically just telling the department heads, here's how high you can go with your part-timer. And then they have the option to decide, keep them at minimum wage. So we're not actually determining the part-time salary.
We're setting
We're
the
just saying,
top
Here's
end.
what your
Mhm.
department head can do. Okay, I'm okay with that.
and we're putting that extra money in the budget line.
Yeah, just in case.
May or may not be spent.
And the good ones, maybe it entices them to stick around longer.
Sure.
Yes.
Sounds good. $12.
So is that a consensus? Are we at 12 or 12.50?
I forgot, because I know I said 12.
What do y'all think?
So $12.50.
12.50. Everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
So it shows you have part-time help in yours. Your-
That's,
Me?
Yes.
well.
I think it's 0 though.
Carry on.
Oh, yes, it
We don't
is.
raise that.
No, that's a flat fee every
Yeah.
month.
Oh, okay.
It's for the constable to come and bailiff from a county court.
Okay.
He gets $300 a month.
Okay.
So where are we at now?
Have
Another
we figured out
monthly
lost revenue? Or is that, can we not do that until the end of
Have you
September?
looked at the lost revenue mark yet for the rescue money?
Do we have to wait till the end of the fiscal year, or can we do it?
No, we can do it anytime we want to. It's just, we gotta get somebody to figure it.
Do we have that?
I don't
on
have
the-
enough information to figure it.
Oh, there's a ton of information. It's just, I mean, I've
So-
done more webinars than, but
Yeah,
it's not a piece of cake to figure though.
Is there a formula?
the
Did
formula-
they put out a formula?
yeah, it's, the formula is the 2019 revenue versus the growth rate,
Mhm.
which we
If the
should be at
average, what the
4.1%.
last 3 years was, or the 3 years before that, you gotta get you average on those first, what your growth rate would be. And if it's below the 4.1, then you do it on the 4.1. But then you gotta put in all these different figures. It's not just your total. I mean, Mark needs to look at the budget and tell me, or he needs to figure out what the math are that we're using. Yeah, there's a formula. I did
Right.
2 webinars last week on it. And the girl even gave an example from another county, but they just give you numbers. They don't tell you where them numbers come from, you know.
So I heard some discussion or saw some discussion on my listserv that they were gonna put in like lost revenue from fines and fees
Yes.
from the JP's offices and all of that, as you know, from like, because there was fewer tickets written,
Sure,
some
you bet.
courts were closed.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things.
There's
to
all
use.
kinds of lost revenue.
They want you to go by
Issues.
your audit report really, instead of looking just
At
at your software. or
single-
whatever. They want you to look at that audit report. I mean, but there are webinars, there's YouTube, there. I mean, but personally, the auditor needs to do that.
I don't know that it's a sign of the auditor for sure.
Well,
But who would it be assigned to? I mean, because we got to figure that out. I mean, we've got to figure, I mean, I don't think our growth rate would be, we'd probably use the 4.1%.
I would think so.
I mean, we've got to make for certain. So I mean, I don't, whose job would that be?
I would say the auditor.
I would too.
And I think most of the consensus on my listserv is people that have an auditor,
We're doing it.
right? That's what I hear,
Hmm.
or that's what I read. So. But that's an amount that we can certainly offset some of our deficit maybe.
I mean, like this one county the other day on that webinar, this is a big county, you know, and I don't, in this webinar is, you know.
Nationwide.
Nationwide, you know, it was with NACO. And this one county, they got in their money, they got 23 million in, okay? Well, we're getting 4 million altogether. So you know that's a larger county because it's, you're getting what by your population. So 23 million. But this county, but you know, maybe they had I can't even remember where it was at, it was in another state. But they had a lost revenue of 8 million. 8 million. We don't have a lost revenue, 8 million, but 8 million. Well, so they asked them, okay, if you get to do this for December 20, 21, 22, 23, there's all of your money in it.
Spent on lost revenue.
Yes. And they're like, good for y'all. Because that way you do have to do these reports, but you have a lot more leeway on where you spend this money.
For
Because
sure.
the lost revenue money
Just,
pretty much is any.
it's just reported as lost revenue and then you can spend it on what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, the only thing you have to do is you have to turn in the calculation worksheet and stuff to them though, because they don't want you just saying, I had a lost revenue of 50,000.
Right.
You know, they want documentation on it, but it's a pretty big, could be a pretty big deal if you have counties that have a lot of lost revenue. And I don't know. I mean, it's even interesting. We've got lost revenue and interest.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, that funnels down into so much more into our budget if we maximize that lost revenue and protect the taxpayers through that.
Yep.
Mark, do you have that formula?
No, I don't have one.
Oh.
Basically, the way that's gonna work, I talked to the outside auditors. We're gonna put money we received in deferred revenue. And as we decide we want to spend it, we move it to the expenditure and revenue. And it's not a budget amendment doing it that way. If we put it all in revenue this year, that means next year, it can't go in revenue anymore. You can only do revenue once. And you're gonna have a deficit every year you spend that money. And we don't want to show that.
But lost revenue would be an expenditure under that line item, wouldn't it?
Say again,
Lost revenue would be a line of the expenditure under that line item of
ARP.
the fund. Since it's a,
oh, well.
Because
you
we,
could- Yeah.
Pay
it's
it to
gonna be- It's
ourselves?
gonna be a revenue and an expenditure. To keep it from showing a deficit.
And he's saying instead of it coming in as a revenue, then it's gonna come in as a revenue, as lost revenue, and then it's gonna come in as an expense or whatever y'all are spending it on. But he's saying.
oh, okay, yeah, I got you. I see.
Because if we don't do it that way, we show a big deficit in future years.
Right,
And I don't think we want to try to explain that.
so under the lost revenue, we have to line item like exactly which, we have to account dollar for dollar where we put it into the budget.
Yeah, as
I
we
got you.
decide what we want to spend
Okay.
it on,
I'm fine.
we can amend the budget. And it's really not a deficit issue anymore.
Before I forget, Sheriff, you have a message board, right? Like fellow sheriffs and whatnot,
like a listserv.
like or like a group of sheriffs you've met in the association and stuff.
Yeah, not like.
I think TAC, like TAC, does TAC give you? Well, I
They
didn't
sent
talk.
out group emails like from the board.
Okay. Could you, before I forget, could you check with them and see like the body cam for the jail, like those two big expenditures, the Skillman system and the body cam? If we could cover that under public health with the American Rescue Plan, could you ask them how they're doing some of that stuff? Because that would, if we can do it legally and not, that would be a big, that'd be a big help to the.
I was also thinking earlier, I think that we were talking, we all talking about raises and all of that, but I think one of the stipulations of the American Rescue money is you can also give it before the raises. So I'm not sure. I know that, one time phone. But I will check on it, for sure.
Thank you.
Do we write the project and submit it? We're gonna do that.
If they say we could. We can take it.
And you could probably, of course, I don't know if we have time to do that, because it took me about 2 or 3 weeks to get my answer on those other 2 questions.
Right.
We can also, there is that email to Nationwide, that you can email and ask
Uh-huh.
if this is legit or whatever, and then they'll send you back the ones.
Right.
It's like it takes a couple weeks.
I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. I just didn't want to forget to ask.
Yeah, I'll get with TAC, they'll probably.
Okay, where we at? So y'all are talking 125 monthly on the raises, which we're gonna need an extra 219,924.
Probably see about.
Do what?
They'll probably, when you look at 125, then monthly, they'll probably get about, 90 or so. Time they pay taxes and Social Security and all that.
Which that's pretty equivalent to the 3%, right?
It's a little
It's,
less.
Little less.
150 is about 4.
Depends on what you make a month.
Yeah,
2% with elected officials, and it's on the low deputy, it's about 3.5, and then in the sheriff's department, it's about a 2.70.
The 150 on the low end would be about what? Or does it, you have that?
I didn't figure.
Okay,
that.
no worries.
Sorry.
You just threw those figures out, so I didn't know if you were ready.
No, I had the 125. I did.
That's probably, That would be-
Oh, I can figure. Well, no, give me that. Didn't work my phone.
Don't worry
I'll
about it.
figure this. Well, I'll figure it. I'll get it. I'll let you know.
That is one solution too, that Sheriff said. I mean, they did talk about raising our employees. The rescue plan money is,
It's called premium pay.
Yeah.
The only thing.
It's a
is-
one-time payment.
Well, it can be, no, it can be a monthly payment too, but, can't pay, it's for essential workers. And we were all essential that we were here. But if you were not here and you work from home, you cannot get it.
Hmm.
So you would have to decipher who worked from home and who didn't.
Right.
It would get into some business that y'all need to get into. not
That's gonna be a problem.
Mhm.
Because you had people that work from home and they are not allowed to get it
No, they were home.
because they weren't out in the public and getting exposed.
Right.
Yeah.
All that to do with a lot of other agencies, first responders.
Mhm.
We had to go in houses.
Yes. I think that's where the focus was for that, from what I've read.
So you could pay that part of a raise with the American Rescue Plan.
A little more of a hazard.
Well, I mean, it's be the same thing as a raise. That wouldn't be that hard to figure out, would it?
Oh, look,
Well,
you're right on that.
That is pretty-
I
It'd be
think
more
it
of a
would.
one, it'd be more of a one-time where, it's gonna run out. Obviously, we're not gonna-
Yeah, you wouldn't
I
want
mean-
to tack it, you couldn't tack it on. it
because then
without-
next year, we would be dealing with as if we had given them a raise out of,
That's
the
right.
tax money, not the ARP money, and we're gonna be,
You can't go backwards.
Well, then,
yeah.
then the
even
next
further.
year, you could just give them the raise.
Well, that, it wouldn't change.
I'm trying to
Kathy's already
just
had
make it
enough.
hard for Kathy, that's all.
That bottom
She's like waiting
line.
her
would
hands
be-
now.
I can hardly wait to run for treasurer.
It's not gonna happen.
Okay.
You did everything since they say stop.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
So
Seems like a nightmare.
at
Yeah,
125 a month, it's 219,000, 150 a month, 263,000. I don't have a problem with 150 if we can afford it, but I just don't know yet if we can afford it. So we have to get through the rest of this first. And percentage wise, the 150 for the inflation rate we have is pretty realistic, but we still got to afford it.
well, you're talking about $50,000 difference.
Yeah.
But the question is, can we afford a raise?
I don't
period?
think we know that till we get through the rest of this.
So do you want to go through the budget?
Yeah.
And then decide if we can, what we can afford?
I would be very much
Okay.
in favor of the 150 if we can do it.
All right. So we were on the EOC budget. Y'all have any questions on the EOC budget?
So all my questions are gonna be like, we're cutting hardcore, so it's not necessarily I'm for cutting this, so I am gonna have some questions there, but.
Okay, well,
Jerry-
and I will just make a comment real quick. You'll see that last time we talked about contract services, and so I zeroed that out. So, because Mark said if we, if we need to, we can do an amendment if there becomes an issue with that. So
Jerry, on that abatement expense, how much do you anticipate spending? Because I know it comes as it goes. The last 3 years, we've only spent, 1,500 was the highest that we went.
So my goal with abatement expense is trying to get people to take care of their stuff on their
themselves.
own. Every once in a while, we do run into that case where we have to expend county funds to go clean something up. We have a couple of abatements that we're gonna run into next year, and I've been working with the wife there on this precinct. Now, honestly, the couple of abatements, probably the first one will wipe out the budget. They're really on that, it really depends on what we're dealing with at the time. Most of the cases I've been able to clear out have been voluntary compliance. That's what we try to do. You know that the two houses we're looking at, if the county does have to do something with that, it'd probably be 3 times as much as we have in that budget.
Which in all likelihood, county's gonna be out some money on those.
That's all I had so far.
On the ELC. Okay, so are y'all ready to go on? Next budget is non-departmental.
Do we have a final number on that tiers funding? Or
Yes, it's in
that
there.
one?
Uh-huh.
So that is the.
Where is that? Oh, there it is. Yeah, that 15,607 is the final. Got
As
that.
y'all can see, I put that contingent liability in there. That's for the PCP.
293,000.
So these are.
Oh, yeah, that, I was looking over that yesterday and
Uh-huh.
I highlighted that and I was like, what the heck? Where did that number come from?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Carrie's.
Yeah, I see that now, yeah. Yeah.
Legal fees in that, do we have to keep 5,000 just in case, or can we amend that if we ever need it? Because we haven't used that in 4 years.
And Mark, do you know,
Where
we've
you
got
at?
5,000 in legal
In
fees,
non-department. For next,
It's just
4,000.
contingent amount in case something comes up.
but when we had the
5,000?
lawsuits in the sheriff's office and we had to pay the tax people, you know,
And had to do what?
pay the tax people, you know,
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't paid out of that, legal fees? What would come
It's
out of that?
probably paid out of the sheriff's office.
Well, so what
Yeah.
would come out of that 5,000?
Or anything that would.
It hadn't been used in a long time.
Could we zero that out?
Sure.
Zero that one.
So that,
So what department uses the copy machines and supplies? Is that just in the non-departmental, that's it. I know, but what uses it?
And access some of that.
like sheriff and stuff will go down there. Like when Laura was here talking about that, they'll use the annex one as much as possible. But they had the toner in their printers that sometimes they have to print. So I think all departments use the annex.
So Gary,
So are you talking about copy paper and supplies or copy machine and supplies annex?
both of them really. I
Because the
didn't know.
copy paper and supplies is for the courthouse. And we just order paper and whenever you need paper, you just go to the closet and get it.
Anybody uses it. Okay.
Everybody does.
And then the copy machine is not in a department, it's just in the annex that anybody can use.
In the annex, yes, there's one copy machine that anyone can use
So like Craig entered in a contract for just his.
for his office, yeah.
I did have a downs, but while we're going through that, who has the answer to this, maybe the auditors? We talked about the copier expense in the past was one lump thing, right? Or has it never been?
What do you mean by copy?
For like all the copiers that our county needs, like a telephone, we have everything under one umbrella. To me, I think it would just be cheaper if we approached a company and said, hey, we need 5 copiers. What is your bottom line? And we get that contract in the non-departmental, and maybe IT, I haven't talked to them, so I don't mean to speak on their behalf, but IT services it or whatever, and maybe work with them on one umbrella contract. Because I mean, usually bulk saves us money. I mean, have we ever done that, or is there a reason why we don't do that?
Each department has to have a printer, and all printers now they're using this as a copy.
I mean, so like, we rarely, like Jan has a copier and we'll go use her copier if we do bulk, like for court. But most of the time we just print off of or copy off of our printers. So we don't have but
But if
that,
we-
your copy machine comes out of your budget, right?
Yeah, if we
But
bulk
they
them-
let us use it.
Yeah, if we bulked the copy machines together though, that might, is that something we could look into? I mean, there's nothing legal, like, each department has their own toner and
Contract.
printer, but if we had a non-departmental contract for copiers and have one at each location, is that something we could look into, or? I mean,
I
that-
think you're looking at a timing problem with people printing off stuff. They're gonna have to go down the hall and get it. And
I'm okay with inconveniencing people a little bit if it saves money for taxpayer. I mean,
Especially Kathy.
Do you guys use a
20
copier?
steps though.
Where everybody uses Jan's?
I mean, so you already go down there.
Y'all don't
anyway.
have any
Yeah.
in the sheriff's department? You don't have any copiers?
Just their,
The majority of our.
I mean, we want people to do the wellness program.
but they'll, if they do bulk, they'll go down and use the big copy machine in the annex.
And I know it's just apples to oranges, but it's kind of like, I mean, because it's all coming out of county money as a whole. It's just kind of confusing to really not know who uses what.
But I see what you're getting at.
Who's charged.
It's a copy machine is a copy machine, no matter who uses it.
If we're paying benchmark 5 contracts. And we're
Yeah.
telling them, hey, we want 1 contract, sometimes you can save money.
Yeah,
I don't wanna
that's
decide
true.
that Now, I was just asking if we could look into that.
I mean, I think it's possible because all of our contracts are with Benchmark.
I mean,
Slash
Kathy walks down there
Xerox.
anyway sometimes now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I do use it.
so
I
it's
mean, I
not-
send that to town to make copies. Like if we have things for the payroll, like we've had insurance lately. Yeah, because first of all, I'm gonna tell y'all the big expense
Is the toner.
is the toner for our
Mm-hmm.
little printers.
Yes.
I mean,
So
crazy.
it's way more than front.
sometimes 200 a
Yeah,
month.
that's,
yeah.
most companies that just use their little copiers are, that's just bad.
Yeah, and
Bad
that's what
business.
we do use sometimes. It's bad.
It's cheaper to get a copier. I know that.
Now, I mean, if y'all wanted to get of course, I'd have to have one because I print receipts all the
Yeah.
time. But if y'all wanted to get a main centralized place for a copier, that'd be fine, maybe,
I mean, like
Yeah,
school
they have
districts and
those
things like
ones, so.
That-
It's pretty
Kind of like the
easy to do.
postage
yeah.
machine.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
easy to do.
I mean, well,
There's-
the copier at the annex has a code.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
if
not
you
just
even-
anyone
even if
can
you
go down
print
there
it-
and use it.
Even if
You
you
have to have
print it from
code.
your computer, it shows what department's using it.
Yes.
Anyway, I was just curious. I saw that and I'm like, so whose is that?
But
I
our
guess it's
copy
everybody's.
paper and supplies for the
Everybody's
annex
good.
is over budget. We've already spent 8,637 year to date. And our budget's only 7,500. We went over it last year and the year before. And the year before. And
I
I,
can see that because we order a lot of paper,
we do, we go through a lot of paper.
a lot of.
But who, which department does it?
Everybody in the courthouse.
I know, I mean, but you would know who is doing it.
Oh, who's using more than the other
Yes,
one?
because,
Oh, probably me.
Yeah. but I mean, that's
Well,
what you
and,
should
Mm,
I mean,
determine.
it's just-
It's not a big deal, but. I mean,
but we
it
ought to,
is
ought to
neat.
raise that up, actually, to be more realistic.
We're not even through the budget
Nope.
yet. I don't know if we have enough in there, in that little room right now to get through the budget.
I don't know. Maybe we should raise that up to 9,000. What do y'all think?
$1,500 increase in paper.
Well, we're already
So
at
that's two.
8637.
Yeah.
I think we did. Gerald just bring some paper, do you know? I don't remember either.
Well, it'd be closer to what it needs to be.
Yeah, and that's only going up.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like everything else.
Okay. So we're gonna zero out legal fees. What other questions did y'all have on that one? The auditing is up because they increased our audit fee just a little, but we also put some extra in there for that single audit that probably will happen. So that's not a significant amount, but
On the DPS and miscellaneous, we have 2,500 in there.
yes.
And they only ask us for about 1,500 every time. The last 4 years, and that's another 1,000.
Right, there, the miscellaneous, there are some things that are spent besides just what the DPS asked us for. I don't have that, but I talked to Pam about that last year to find out. There was a few miscellaneous things,
But
but we could drop it down to 1,500. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, they haven't, this 1410 is all that we're gonna probably spend this year, right?
Well,
We haven't done it
actually,
for-
yeah, that was supposed to be from the 2019, 2020, but none of that stuff came in, so it got
Scope
paid
stuff.
for out of this year's
That's the
budget,
scope.
whatever it
the
was they
request they
ordered,
sent.
yeah.
And the biggest out of the last 4 years is 1,591 that they spent, or that we spent on that.
You want me to drop it to 1,700?
I mean, that helps kind of cancel out the copy paper.
Okay,
Yeah.
we had to go up a little bit on our on-site sewage too, but that's kind of an in and out thing. Okay. 3/16. We'll move to that. On appointed attorneys, we flip-flopped the budgets from 84th. And so 84th appointed attorneys was 160. The current budget. And they're at 158. Right. And the 3/16, their current budget is 198. Anyway, they're still gonna be over budget.
So 3/16 is over about 50,000. 84th is under about 50,000 on this. Did we change it to 215,108 or is this what? I know we flipped something.
I did. Okay, so yes. So we switched the amounts from court to court. But that still may not cover 84th. I mean, 316th. But we can always just transfer if we need to. That's what we've done in the past.
The difference to theirs is only 2,000 on each one. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So why,
What did we flip?
From
We only transferred enough to make
150.
the operating budget overall cost. We didn't do enough to cover the line item. We'll change that at year end when we have a better feel for what the results are. You only have to keep the operating total at the bottom positive.
funded function?
Right.
So on the, why not just budget what they're probably gonna spend, so we don't have to move stuff, just so we can,
I shouldn't have spent.
oh, okay. But if there's a pattern for the last, it's
I mean,
been,
316th always spends more because they have all the
so if we did
CPS cases.
250,000 in that department,
I mean, they're already at 244.
and that is the medium,
108 on this one.
yeah, they do 100, yeah. And do 108, so it's more accurate. It doesn't have to be exact, but it needs to be more accurate, so we know what we're,
I would agree with that. too. We have to make an amendment later, but I mean, it looks
Yeah,
smarter.
looks like we
to
know what we're
transfer
doing.
Less money than 60,000 bulk all at once.
that's it, it looks like we know what we're doing.
Well, let me write that down.
Won't type right on that cell. Okay.
And then on the 84th, what do you want me to put in there?
10.
They're at 101.
I'm slower.
I mean, they're
What's
the only reason they probably have only spent 103 last year was because of the COVID. Because the year before that was 194, the year before that was 231.
Year before that was 103.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. The only
This
reason they
year.
probably only spent 103. So I would say at least 115.
That's what it's been.
I think 108's gonna cover it.
Are y'all all right with that?
Just make sure I clicked on the right thing. We're on, that line item is 4,100.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, anything else y'all see on either of the district courts? District attorney? The only thing I see that stands out to me is the trial expense. 4910. And I mean, you just
Thank
don't ever know what's gonna happen. Because there's a possibility that we could have a big trial. But that we've got 10,000 budgeted and the most we've spent in the last 3 years is 5539. So we could probably back that off a little bit. But
If we have a big trial, don't we get a little help from the state?
depends if it's a capital case.
Uh,
We buy that
If-
capital insurance, yeah, but if it's not, no. It's on us.
We just need to keep the caps locked down. It'll be cap-
We don't need those. Uh-uh.
no bad.
No, it was
No.
bad.
I'm fine, like his budget overall, he's been under,
This budget.
so.
So do you want me to leave it or drop it?
I'm fine with dropping it a little bit. I mean, just if
Yeah, I think y'all drop it a little bit.
Mark's all right with the bottom dollar being green, then he has other accounts that are canceling that out. If we go over a little bit.
So we're gonna drop it to 7,000? Nobody's chatting at us, huh? I may have disabled the chat. Feel free to run down and talk to me about your budget if you're listening. Or not. Anything else on DAs?
Are we dropping it?
Uh-huh, I've got 7. Okay, district clerk. The only thing that jumped out at me on that was the computer expense. The current budget was $5,000. And I'm not sure why.
So I highlighted that too. And that reminded me about, so what comes out of the computer expense? Just hardware?
Well, if
Like screen?
yeah,
Like screens, printers?
she needed to buy a new, if her print or her monitor went out or computer went out, that would come out of there. Also,
The accessories. like
maybe a
mice.
webcam or a mouse or a keyboard or, but we all got new computers last year. So
If it's just a computer, it wouldn't be that expensive. Because we have the monitors, you can get the towers for about $650 bucks.
She just need to explain why she needs that.
well,
If she needs
I
that.
think, I honestly think it was from the prior year because she just said no changes on her budget.
Probably so.
And so I think that's, I'll grab it. District court, district court. District clerk, no changes at this time. So that was what was in the budget for last year.
And you said they all got computers this
Section
year.
503.
Yeah, that came out of a different line, all of our computers, but I don't know why hers was at 5,000. Anyway, I mean, if you compare people working in an office, say Jan's office and Robin's office, they have the same amount of people, and Jan's computer expenses at 1,000. So
I'm fixing to have to get the new copier for Angela because it's on its, they said
A new
it has to be,
printer?
yes,
Mhm.
has to be replaced, so.
right.
I'm waiting
So
till the new
maybe
budget.
3,000,
Even 2,000.
I put 2,500.
2,500.
And that might, is that another one that we might be able to have IT, because we bought them in bulk last time. Is that not something that falls under IT to possibly put? And you got in the office, tell me what you think. Like if we put all that in one fund under IT and we deal with the needs every year and have people say, well, this year I need to buy 2 monitors. I mean, obviously emergencies happen, but we can have that
No,
contingency.
I think you need to always keep computers departmental.
Okay.
Not group, because
too.
everyone does it differently.
Right.
And it's basically computers are preferences, honestly. Monitors are, you'll see some monitors that like the round ones.
Right,
Each-
and-
Each department has different needs, so.
Russell usually orders them for us. Like
Right.
I'll say, Russell, I need a new monitor for in here. And he'll order it because he can get the discount prices because he buys so many. So,
And that's why I wasn't trying to. like,
We don't go
buy
out and do
the
it
same
ourselves.
computer, Yeah,
Yeah.
but he handles that purchasing now
Yeah,
anyway.
he was.
Tell him, hey, I want a curved 18-inch screen.
I
okay,
think that
so
would be
did y'all say
still parts
2,500 on that?
That would be on
Mhm.
the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Because if you hired someone like me, we would have all the newest computers all the time in my department.
JP
That's
two,
why I'm talking about that.
Yeah, so, yeah, I have to be in check with that.
okay, the only thing that I noted in the JPs was, court appointed
JP2.
attorney. Appointed attorney. Look, that's 00000.
For that and the interpreter.
Well,
interpreter
no,
can
we've
use-
had to use that before. We had to
Well, I
pay
was
an
just saying those
interpreter.
Two have been zeros
Yes,
for the last
but
4
we've
years.
had to pay an interpreter before, back when I was there, because we had to get someone in for a case we were doing. So I see where that could possibly come into play, but in JP court, we don't, a Class C misdemeanor is not eligible for a court-appointed attorney. I'm not sure why we've got that in there,
Mhm.
but it's probably been in there forever.
We can just zero it out.
I would say we could.
Let's do it.
You're the.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about JP, so.
Well, I just don't know. I can't recall. And maybe there was a point when, I'll have to look back, but if,
I get all these answers this week. when
Yes.
people Watch the YouTube. video.
What
So we'll
number
get
is
the
that,
answers
Judge?
this week
it's
as people watch the
456,
YouTube videos.
4100
Okay.
and 457, 4100.
No, when it says bonds, is that typically just a security bond for holding money kind of thing?
Yeah, every elected official has
Yeah.
to be bonded and some others.
I figured it was just that.
Okay, y'all tell me where you have questions.
I'm done.
You're
Done
done?
with,
The
done with them.
JPs.
Oh, yeah, me too. County attorney, we've discussed his
Yeah,
numerous times. I didn't have any questions on it.
I've missed one county attorney.
And he answered all ours.
Election, we don't really have any control over that. We gotta have the elections. Okay, county auditor. Mark, why, do you know why we have in the current budget, we have $4,000 in capital outlay?
Used.
I was confused by that. You know what that's
I
from?
can't think why we'd ever have a capital outlay in the
Right?
auditor's office.
I don't know. I don't know how that got in there.
Zero.
That
10,
should be easy.
4, 9. It's 495, 5990. Okay, thank you.
Oh, we had some construction in there one time before I came, probably when I got started.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'll just take that right on out.
It's gone.
Ed Spears was working there.
So I know with the training and education and travel expenses due to COVID, it probably didn't go anywhere. But even when you did in 18 and 19, it didn't total the amounts. Do you plan on having more traveling and training this year than you did the other? Okay.
That's still a
You
lot
got
of money.
5,000 in
That's
there
$8,000
$8,000
compared to,
Yeah.
I only have 3.
For both of them is 8,000.
Was it for both?
Well, I'm just adding.
Well, even for 2
Yeah.
people,
That's for the whole.
I
office.
have
Oh,
3,
for the whole office.
I have 5, I think.
Family and voting work.
But out of
Oh,
those
she
2
doesn't.
line items, we haven't spent more than 3,000 total. Ever. Well, ever for the last 4 years.
It'll bring it back a little bit.
I would say 1,500 on training and education.
Well, I would leave training and education at 3.
Okay,
And I mean, there's not a real reason for the travel expense, but you maybe put, if training and education, if Pam did go somewhere, then, I mean, we could,
I'd need to talk to the district judges and verify that that needs to be changed.
true,
Because basically they've approved this budget
true.
and it's not supposed to be changed unless they are aware and they agree with the change.
But we can see if they agree with it.
yeah, well,
Okay, so,
We have to ask, I guess, for the capital outlay, we have to ask for that too. I guess, to be 0. Like any
Yeah,
changes
I
to
can
it.
ask them about that.
So we can just
Okay.
write them all down.
okay, so my suggestion would be to leave the training and education at 3 and back off the travel expense to 2. So will you ask the judges if they're okay with that? I don't have any questions on the treasurer, do y'all?
I don't-
I don't have any on the tax collector. I took that, I think I took that
3,000.
office improvements. What was that? I have to look again. I thought I took that out.
That was 3,000.
5701, office improvements. She had 2,000 in there originally and was in her original budget, but she upped it by 3 to make it 5 so she could cover those pipes. So I took that back out.
Oh,
I
okay,
was gonna do
so,
that a different way.
Yes.
and then we put the 3 somewhere else.
Well, we'll pay for it out of,
Capital improvement.
yeah,
The water for
yes,
courthouse.
yeah.
On
courthouse.
hers, on the telephone line item, what is used on that one? Like none of the other ones really have telephone expense. She's on.
Yes, there's that's a Russell question, because there is something different.
Right. I assume there was, because it's been used, but I can ask her after this.
She uses it every year.
I can't remember. Is Carrie on here?
There she is.
Oh.
Hey, Gary.
So the telephone
You were
line
listening.
item,
Yeah,
Yes.
Windstar out at Bridge.
yes,
Okay.
I knew there was
Okay.
something
Oh, I
different.
know that one too. I forgot. 'Cause I
Thank
was
you.
with- I unplugged it. I unplugged it when I was working on Robin's desk. and computer. I said, oh, you don't need that. We get it all through this one. Here we go. Phone calls. Yeah, that
How'd
was
you get a
my-
phone call if you unplugged it?
They call. I figured they call. That's good.
Something wrong with this story.
Stories.
Something's
Yeah.
wrong with this story. Yeah.
That's good. I thought I
And
knew everything. I was like,
we
"You don't
got
need
the final budget from the appraisal district. And so I had two 207, 615.90 in there, but it was final approval was 216, 880, 201. So, yeah. Put that in there. So, anything else? Okay. Data processing, y'all have any questions on that one?
That would be the IT department.
Yes.
I figured it was when I first looked at it.
It's 4,500, training and education, and hasn't used any this year or last year.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I know why last year, I don't know why.
Yeah, last year for others. Equipment's got 15,000, and we've never used 15,000. Apparently nothing so far this year. He still got a data circuit line for 2,800.
There's something,
It's nothing so far this year, nothing
is
last year.
Russell on? No. Yeah, because there was something he told me he was gonna need to purchase, and I think it's a new NVR or something. When he starts talking about all that stuff, it kind of
It doesn't show it's,
crazy in my head.
data circuit line doesn't ever show it's ever been. Well, in 2017, 18, $837.
Did you text him? I'm pretty sure there's something, he just came in last week and said we were gonna need something because something was going bad. And I don't remember what that something was. I want to say some kind of, I need to write everything down, I guess.
Your supplies and equipment, we have 22,000 in there, those two line items.
Support and maintenance is went from 16 to 20. Or use over 20 this year. That seems like a lot of support. Maintenance. I don't know anything about that.
No, that's all in my head.
Yeah, I don't know what all that goes.
I wish he would, I wish he was here to talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Did you ask him to come down? Jerry? Okay. All right. So if y'all want to move on, when Russell gets here, we'll talk to him about his budget. Get explanation on that. Plant maintenance operation. So the only one, you'll see that in our capital improvements, we have 125. But I back that off to 100.
Well, I'd like to see it at 125 for the reason being the roof, courthouse, we're probably going to be 25, 30,000 out of pocket. That's the depreciation. Deductible. Not sure on the final figure yet, but I'm still working with that. But looks like it's going to be 25, 30,000 out of pocket. Started doing a lot of electrical a few months ago and kind of stopped for a while, but we need to do electrical here at the courthouse to get some upgrades done.
And then also, there's, like Carrie's request in her office to box that in.
Yeah, we had,
which that'll only take probably about $3,000 or $4,000 maybe.
no, but that's not just hers.
No,
There's
it's
a lot
not.
of them in here.
Yes, yeah, but we need to start there because she's asked for
Well,
it.
yeah, we'll start with that one, but hopefully get part of it this year.
Right.
Might not get them all, of course, but part of them. And then also the condensate lines in the basement still got to need some attention, whether it's done by rescue or not. So they're going to have to get worked on.
Right.
And
Okay.
hopefully we get some help. Maybe we will. And then the other issue is we don't know in the courthouse. I've noticed that always expect the unexpected. Sewer line was. We need a little backup money in case something goes wrong there. Plumbing, something.
Mm-hmm. So you want me to leave it at 125?
I would prefer to stay at 125.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't use that. But we may.
Any other questions on plant maintenance and operation? Oh, we need to discuss Eddie's salary.
Yeah, one other question I had, I just, because I don't know what this is. Contract service for the annex, 45,000.
It's the maintenance, the custodian. They do,
Oh, for the.
yeah, they,
Payroll.
Holvey, or something like that. It's for the custodians that clean the, yeah, we contracted out.
They clean there in the library too.
And as far as I know, I haven't been told they're going up any. I think you checked on that though,
Mhm.
Gary, didn't you? Yeah. Let's go back to Russell's. Okay, Russell. On your equipment line item. We've got 15,000. What'd you tell me we were needing to buy?
So you're gonna buy that in this budget year or next? So that'll
This,
be under this one. Under this. Okay.
How much is it? 15,000?
First it did was change.
okay,
So this is just the server for the, how many cameras?
That server.
it's not upgradable.
But we're having issues with having down.
Okay,
But we're gonna server just like over at the. A lot of benefits in that. It's a lot more user friendly and we can join the servers together. Get multiple places to get rights and access. Better than what to do now.
Leave that alone then.
Well,
Okay.
that's this budget year though. He said he's buying that this before this year's.
Yeah,
What about next year? This is for next year.
You talk about cameras at the annex. Cameras at the annex.
we've
right?
got that. I put that in courthouse security.
Oh,
We talked
okay.
about that at Monday, remember?
Yeah,
And
that's
we
right.
Put it in to get the courthouse or the annex cameras out of courthouse security.
So you still need 15,000 under equipment for next year, buddy.
It's like, look out a switch right now. It could have most likely been caused from all power issues. So you start having an issue like that. You know, electronics, you never know when it grows later on. So that's an electric thing, an unforeseen thing. Switches. Lose one or two of them. Do that.
I would personally say to just leave that because it is so unknown. And if, if Russell feels like there's something like that server that we're gonna have to replace because our cameras keep going down, then we have the money to purchase it. But if not, then he won't spend it. And so just roll back into the funds.
Yeah, from law enforcement a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember when the virus hit. City border, and solar servers and stuff like that. And then where new software comes out and they do knock all our servers out.
To keep all that up to date. And that's part of what comes in with the computer support and maintenance, correct? Like the antivirus stuff and the security stuff, correct?
Training and education. You got 4,500 for training and education. It hasn't been used in a couple of years.
Did they not have any of your conferences this year? Oh. Okay.
Talking about bringing them back.
Okay.
Be nice, but that'd be a miracle.
Other than what we talked last time about anticipating maybe do something about help. But since I've got Josh, he's turned out to be so good.
That's good.
I don't mind leaving it. I just don't like not having a plan. And there really, I know we can have a plan of this could go bad or we could replace this, but $15,000 is a huge, this could happen. Usually you have $5,000 with this could happen. And then you have $10,000 with this is what I like. So that's, I don't mind doing it this year, but next year I would need a reason for 15,000.
This is the fine line we have to walk. I mean, if every department had a what if things went
Yeah,
wrong,
that's-
we would
that's
have
the
a
thing.
$40 million budget.
Yeah.
And not calling you out, because I mean, we all have what ifs. That's where we have to toe that line and find the balance of not messing us over if it goes wrong and being diligent to the taxpayer.
That was my only, because there was a hesitation. Well, what is this 15 for now? Well, just in case. If I went to my elders with that, they'd be like, no. If my kids came to me, Dad, can I have 15,000 just in case? No.
What ifs are pretty limited.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might. I say 10,000. I know that's nickel and diamond, but since I don't really know what it's planned for, I would say 10,000 for the equipment. And then the computer system, that was 70,000. What all is that?
It's in the sheriff's budget. Is that the one you're talking about?
No.
We're still in this one.
57.
503-5770.
I got you.
So what is that one for?
Computer system.
Just maintain?
They're confused it.
So why we have to add another 45,
Well, you're not adding to this, but
leaving it.
just leave it at 4,500. Leaving that one at 15.
So is that all the, I guess, is the computer systems all of the, just pay him for, I don't know what it all does. I know we're using some of it, but what all does it do? The software? I guess I don't understand what it is.
What comes out of that line item?
Can you look that up online? Mark?
Can you pull up the encode?
That with his, that was that what he came for. At least I can.
I mean, it's being used, so it's, we're at 63.
Yeah, it's used every year.
Yeah, I was just curious what it was.
We've already used 40 this year. So,
What's the data circuit line? That was another question. What is that 2,800 in there for?
We've been talking about that. We aren't quite sure where that.
So,
It's been there.
Yeah. But it's just-
Not sure what it's for.
It's never used. Well, not since. So we'll probably take that out.
Yeah, that's 2,800.
So I would be all right with taking that out and dropping that equipment to 10, like Dwight said, because on the bottom line, even with the 15,000 this year, that hits 80 as of 2 weeks ago. That's still $40,000 in the green in that account, that budget. I mean, that's a lot of,
Which one is that, Chris?
the data processing. I'm just saying, current budget, we have it budgeted 291,000, or out of the operating, it's 119,000, and we've only used 64,000. With 15,000 server would make it about 80,000. And I know we still have two more months, but I mean, that's 40,000 just operating that we can wiggle around with and still end up in the green.
Okay, say again. So what, did we didn't know what the data circuit line was?
Take it off the 2,800.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be about right. 18 was the last time we used it.
I sent Pam a message to see if she'd print that out for me, bring it to me. Is Pam here? Okay. Okay. Is that it for Russell? Hey,
Okay, I'm sure this is Russell's question, but on the sheriff's budget, computer support and maintenance, you're going from 30 to 105,000.
no, that's not Russell.
Who is?
What, well, are we there?
No.
Are-
That's the Spillman system they call it.
Yeah, it's the Spillman.
That was the one I was asking him if we could possibly get rest of the stuff
Yeah,
too.
he needs
So we can
to-
talk.
So no questions between now and, or there and sheriff's budget? Because I think we've talked about the
So what do you do
constable's
with everything
budgets a couple times, so,
That makes,
oh, well, the only,
We need,
okay, here's your answer to Russell's computer system. That line item. That you were wondering what came out of there. Looks like data. It just says data. It's $4,000 a month. Do you want to look at this and see if that's what you think that is?
So that circuit line, 2,800 is
Sparklight?
spark light.
no.
Okay.
That's not, yeah, that's the zero. That was when we were on the old analog system. There was something. that
Oh,
he thought it
okay.
was paying for, like,
Well,
access.
Okay.
the-
So
That's the only thing that comes out of there though.
so far, that's what it looks like.
And it,
10,
What is it a month?
503, 5770. level 3 computer system. It's $4,060.
That's gonna go up, through with the- Through the- fiber out there,
Mhm.
and then we're upping the bandwidth for the 10X and the internet speed.
Oh, right.
That's gonna go up to like 46.
Right. I remember you said that. Yeah, but we're gonna get a whole lot more speed out of that, right? Supposedly. Yes.
So that bill will go up
That would be,
just under 47.
if that's the only thing that comes out of that line item, that's still like $54,000 then total. Do you have that total? I mean, that'd be like $15,000 extra. Or we could, if that's the only thing that comes out of that line item, we can get an exact amount for that line item. 'Cause if it's only gonna cost us 55, that's 15,000 extra.
So last year we were at 63,614. Year before was 57. But that's the only thing that shows that from that line item.
Looking at that before the next meeting and let the judge know, please. So,
Okay, so now let's see, we didn't, oh, go back to plant maintenance and operation. We need to decide something on Eddie's salary.
And we talked about what,
Same as base salary for road and bridge,
which was.
51,800. Is that right?
If he works for all three locations, I don't think with 50. He's only gonna be focused here at the courthouse in 48.
You can only do so much, so wherever it works. I mean, you can say all three, that don't make you get to it.
Well, honestly, he's been to the Fritz
Yeah.
Library, he's been to the annex, he's
Yeah.
been, yeah, when something is not pressing here.
And he's helped me.
He-
So I'm saying that
Yeah.
because I plan on using it. But if I heard there was rumors that you were just gonna lock him down here at the court in 48. So I'm gonna have to get somebody else to do the other two.
So I don't think about it, a guy can only do so much.
Yeah.
Regardless. If he can't do it, he can't do it.
Yeah.
You never know, day to day, when progress is gonna be there. So it tears up every day. Take that.
But that's what I'm saying, 50 or 48, that's where I stand.
I'd say 50.
Kathy, how much does a field deputy make?
How much more?
A field deputy?
56,
A field deputy?
56, I
You're my
think.
sheriff's deputy, yeah. What is the normal?
that's up to-
Let's see, it's 56. but-
Field deputy is 55,366 a year.
And road and bridge is
51,800.
To me, it's still a comparable position.
51,858.
And he does. The only problem is if something happened, Eddie wasn't here yet to replace him, that doesn't mean that salary.
Right.
Should apply to the next guy,
Right.
because Eddie goes a little above and beyond to help us save money, so. A little more forward.
Once
Mhm.
we set that, then the next guy that comes in, he's gonna expect that too. right?
I don't
No,
know. I don't
because
think
when
that's
we
how-
post a job, we'll put like a salary range or something,
No.
you know,
Okay.
and then we
This is
decide
different
based
than
on
elected
qualifications,
officials.
yeah. So I'm good with 51.8 if you guys are good with that.
That's consistent.
Same as Road and Bridge.
Mhm.
I'm fine with that.
I'm definitely fine with that. I didn't know if y'all would do that or not, but I would like it in his job description, it says buildings with an S. And I know it's limited on what a man can do.
If you
But
call
I
him and you
still-
say, I need
Yeah.
this sewer line.
I'm not expecting it
If he can do
tomorrow.
it, fine. If he
Yeah.
says no, it's no.
Yeah.
You go
Right.
Find somebody else. His primary is gonna be at the courthouse, because it's a lot to do. That's a lot.
There's a reason why I wrote it.
But he's busy today, I think, building some of these partitions for the library.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And last week, we went and got some more disinfectant solution around the libraries.
sprayed with the fogger thing.
So see, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the 51 because it's countywide.
It
If it was
is.
just local, I don't know.
January 2nd, come down here. It surely doesn't do that much. But January 4th, yeah, he does. He's pretty busy, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, countywide, I'm all for the.
Okay, so is everyone good with the 51.8?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I don't know, it's a complex decision, but yeah, I'm fine with that. We do, I think
Now the
we need
raise
to,
won't.
we need to get more specific on his duties, because there are things, he does a lot, but there are also a lot of things that aren't county. That if it burdens, if it takes away from the county job, like the mowing. of
The mow in the park,
Yeah,
I think that needs to stop.
the,
I mean, that if we're gonna have a county employee, and it looks good, but that's not necessarily a county job. If he can do it in his spare time, non-county things are okay, but taking away from county time when you're on the clock here, I mean, that's it's almost that's a big deal. I just don't want to run into, because he does do a lot. I don't want it to have it where we have to hire outside because he's doing something elective and not
right,
job description
right.
wise.
I think I'd like to talk to the state. They need to do the rest. I don't mind the view of the park.
I mean, if we
Well, that
need to
happened a
get,
long time ago.
if we need to
before all of
get
us.
inmates out mowing and stuff, we have an annex in a library. The trailer and
It's
the mower
not
can be used there too.
The rest of that
Instead of
park
the
is
state
not
park.
I think it happened with Doc Johnson.
No, it happened before that.
No.
Well,
Deborah Wells.
Deborah Summers took it over.
Deborah
And then
Summers, I'm
she
sorry.
didn't want it, then Don Johnson said he would do
Well, I'll
it,
just do it, yeah.
and then he didn't, and so then Eddie got it, so, yeah.
And that's why. we bought
Well,
the
no,
trailer.
he did it. Don did it the
No,
whole
I know.
term,
Mowing on-
but
Yeah.
then
I mean, that's
Sheriff
technically
Coker didn't
mowing
want to
on
do
time
it
type
because
of
he
stuff,
didn't
and
have
that-
available
Right, I know.
deputies to help him with that, and
Maybe we
so,
can take the inmates to the annex
or
in that
Right.
time too
whatever,
sometimes.
so.
I mean, I'm not trying to, but
If we're gonna do
that would be a better
the
use. of
roadside
this.
park,
Yeah,
we
if
should
we
be
had
doing
somebody
annex and
supervising,
library
that's the
work.
thing.
Right. So. I'm all in favor of going. So you know what, this is really your deal. I think you all need to take it back over.
I just know it's better for him too, because I mean, he is stretched thin. We need to remove those things that he's electively obligated, because I know he feels like he has to do that because he's committed to doing it.
Well, if an elected
And if we
official
can-
walks up here and asks you to do something, try to do it.
Right.
Okay, I'll make contact with them. And let them know that.
That's just less mindset stress on him too. Get them to step up and do. what
We
they
had
need to
3
do.
times, that's not.
Yes, and we do pay someone to right to mow the annex.
Mhm.
And the library.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're paying someone to do
Contractor.
the same thing that he's doing for free.
Right.
So it looks kind of strange.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so move on. Got the fire protection, I changed that to net contract. Constables, we've talked about theirs a couple of times.
Thank you, Karen.
So, We're on the sheriff's budget. Let me get this out because this is through no fault of the sheriff's, but this budget is a nightmare. Ugh. This whole computer system. Thanks, Russell.
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna knock it off, yeah.
Or me,
Okay. Okay, sheriff. Okay. All right, so on the sheriff's budget, what did y'all have a question about? The computer. If you'll see, wait, look at equipment. That line item. The current budget is 113,500. Okay, so out of that 113, 40,000 of that for the last 4 years has gone to pay for cop sync. Okay, so that left 60,000 basically in his budget for equipment. Last year they bought tasers, rifles. What else, Sheriff? So the sheriff and I had a conversation about this because those big ticket items were purchased last year or this year, I guess, out of this year's budget. So there shouldn't be a whole lot of need. So we took the 40 out. I asked him if he'd go for 60 in there, but so we compromised at 65. So that's why it's 65. But if y'all think it should be lower, I mean, you can see what they've spent. But out of that 51,377 in 2019, 2020, 40,000 of that was for cop sync.
So does that go
We've paid our
this then?
we paid our note with cop sync. Done. So we don't owe them any more money. We renewal. We'll owe them $6,000 renewal.
And he texted me, Judge, here recently, it will be monthly, at $660 per month, which is gonna be $79. We also contacted TAC, we asked them to do back rep, so they don't think it'll.
Okay, so we can get rid of cop sync because the Spielman software that they're wanting to go to, that the city's going to, and that possibly Stanet's going to get on to, will do what cop sync is doing, and that will be the reporting. So we're going to pay $6,000 renewal to cop sync. It's just a yearly renewal. And then we pay $37.50 for the NIBRS reporting module. But we're going to probably have to pay that unless we can figure out a way out of that, because they signed an agreement with them for 7,000 something, and they split it one budget year and the next budget year. So we'll have to pay them the $37.50 this next budget year. So I know it's very confusing.
The issue that we're running into is if we completely cut off ComSync right now, so we get the Stillman system, which we don't know the exact date, and we'll get it. And that will be
office.
And that's why I ask for a month to month, because the contract with Cop Sync, it is renewable in September, correct? September is, I think that's what Andy told me. So we need to go on to just a month by month until we can, if we approve the Spillman, we can get on with them.
So if we renewed Cop Sync for the next year, that would be, say the Spillman is a no, and you renewed the Comp Sync for a year, that would still, I mean, it would still carry you to the next budget year. Okay.
And that's how much?
So.
Well, okay.
70,000 was the difference. What you use in that computer.
So computer support and maintenance. All right, so the current budget is 30,467 for the sheriff's office. Okay, if you look at the jail computer support and maintenance, theirs is 21,575. Okay, so if we get off of Odyssey completely for the jail and the sheriff's office and go to Spillman, those, we will not have those two expenses. Odyssey, we're going to get off of them, not pay that to Odyssey. And then we're going to, if we go onto the Spillman, the startup cost for Spillman is 95,165. That's the startup. And then the renewal for their yearly cost is
That's 4,400.
4,400 and something.
Who's putting all this together? Who
Jerry.
puts all this?
So with the, I'm gonna,
Yeah,
That's the guy we need. He's doing it.
okay, so I had, what we were waiting on last time was to find out what the reduction in Odyssey would be with our total cost, because our total cost with Odyssey was 110. something else.
113, I think.
Yeah, so it goes up every year. That's why they have to look at that adjustment. So what we were looking at is if we went to Spillman, what would be the total reduction in that amount without having a jail module and without the sheriff's office being on Odyssey? After a few months and arguing with them, finally she got a response back that the reduction would be from that 113 to
75.
So that would be what we would not, they said that the difference between the two. And then as far as Spillman, you have an initial startup cost for the system. That's for them to come in and install the software to get us connected to the server for the database. It's a vastly shared database as far as RMS side of it for master name, for citation modules and all that stuff. The big, I guess, benefit was with the equipment that we have. The sheriff's office had bought into Cop Sync, which the big part of what we financed with Cop Sync was the equipment for the vehicles. So the smallest portion of that was actually the service of Cop Sync, which is running the licenses and tags and whatnot in the vehicle. So the difference between that was like $7,600. So the equipment that we have already purchased will be able to be used on the new systems. So we're not gonna have to buy new equipment for the vehicle. And with the Spillman side of it, they said it's a shared database that we'll be able to take two systems that we currently have now, the Odyssey and the Cop Sync, and we'll be able to use one system for both, but at the cost of $400 a year instead of paying. Just on Odyssey, it's $36,000 a year that the sheriff's office will pay. So you're going to see that at next year, you'd see that reduction in that cost. Yeah, you have to pay to get the startup going, but in 3 years you pay for you paid for that part of it. So it's a county so the only agency that I know that they just recently put a lot of money into a system they have is Fridge. They went to Tyler and go. So I don't know if they'll ever move around to this, but as far as Stinnett, Dirk is working with Spillman to get their stuff moving into this direction. Court Board is looking at it and we are as well to kind of get on this shared database. That's kind of what I got right now. I actually have a meeting with Spillman at 1 o'clock today to look at the data conversion and what that looks like. As far as taking what data we have in Odyssey, like jail management records and stuff like that. They have a whole process you have to go through to kind of get that information in a place where we can go and look at that information, or if we're going to look at converting that data into the new system, which is something they do all the time, but it's a process.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm asking a weird question right now. Why are you overseeing what the jail?
I'm curious about that too.
So,
We're curious about that.
so how it kind of all kicked off was, Spillman is a Motorola company. So we had our radio system going. Dispatch is going to this new CAD system. And with the new CAD system, they said it's an actual CAD system, computer aided dispatch. And the new CAD system integrates with the new radio system as well. So if we went to Spillman, we also integrate with the radios. So like if a deputy's out on a traffic stop, one of the county roads somewhere, whenever they're keying up, even portable or mobile, whatever, it automatically gives their location to dispatch.
Like a GPS location.
Yeah, it's a GPS location. Every time they key up the radio, it gives them their location on the map. So it started that way and kind of snowballed into what we're looking at as far as, went to the sheriff's office and said, well, this is what the system can do. The sheriff went to one of our presentations with Spillman, looked at, Spillman can do what CopSync does, but it also can do what Odyssey does and integrate a couple of other features with the jail that Odyssey currently doesn't do. So
Or they kept telling us, we have the capability to do that, but Monica would keep emailing them and asking them to get these things working, and they never did.
as far as,
So,
especially if you got Monica in here, she definitely got on soapbox about Odyssey. The integration was supposed to be there, but now it's not. It's never functioned how they get sold.
and I think one of the things that started this also was Odyssey notified us that they were not going to have the capability to do the reporting that the sheriff's department needed to do, and they wanted us to switch to Encode. And we just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't seem like a good solution because they weren't providing for us what we needed for the amount of money that we were paying them. And so we've never been happy with CopSync.
So CopSync is a communications, it's a lot for communications, a communications platform where you can communicate with other people on CopSync. I mean, it does have a portion of that where you can tap into the state databases where you can run your licenses, your vehicle tag numbers and stuff like that. The thing that it doesn't have is that computer aided dispatch integration. So where the dispatcher is taking in a 911 call, they're putting in the information in the computer. This really relays that information directly to the officer's vehicle or the fire truck or whatever. It puts that information directly to the vehicle. If there's any red flags on an address, like if we put a red flag on an address, like a violence suspect at one point in time, we can put a flag on it. As soon as they get that information, they're seeing that information in their vehicle live. It's not, it's a way to put addresses and put different features that makes it a little safer for the deputies, for the police officers.
Whoever's responding.
For every aspect.
So when did this start? Like, when did y'all start looking into
When the
this?
conversation, yeah.
So you're cool with it, Sheriff? I mean, at the end of the day, you're the one that will be accountable.
We've-
to us or something.
Jerry's been working with Andy a lot with this
Andy is
and the
doing
sheriff.
Was doing the NIBR stuff for the reporting. Neighbors, being that, one reason why we wanted to make sure that they were at least able to do a month-to-month copsing, because they're currently running their neighbors reporting through copsing, because Odyssey is gonna charge an arm and a leg to do that.
So after the purchase of this, maybe just getting lots of, you're gonna say, here you go, Sheriff, here you go, Monica, I got my other job to do.
The whole system is integrated, so emergency management will have the same, the city of Border, dispatch, the sheriff's office, emergency management will all be in some way, shape or form involved in the same program, so the border police department will be able to look at our arrests, we'll be able to look at their reports as long as they give us the permission to do so. Our communications will increase dramatically with the dispatch, because right now, the city of Border and their dispatch, they can send call notes to each other. They can build a call while they're taking it and send it out to an officer, and they can respond immediately. Whereas they can take the call and then go ahead and they'll have to call us over the radio, so we can see the same interface that the city of Border does. This will put all the law enforcement agencies that opt in on the same page. We'll all be able to not only integrate, but we'll be able to see each other on the map, be able to send messages to other units. See where the Border PD guys are at, they'll be able to check on us. We'll also be able to send messages directly to dispatch, run stolen guns through dispatch immediately, enter stuff in through that system, whereas before, say we have a stolen vehicle, we go write up a report and we take it up physically or fax it to dispatch. We can go ahead and those articles on that system should get over to dispatch immediately on scene, and they can get that stuff entered immediately. But that's kind of
And that was a good point you said, as far as, it's a platform for emergency services, just specifically for law enforcement, but for the fire departments, for EMS, for myself, emergency management, for pre-planning. If we were able to go out and make a nuisance abatement stuff, if we're having a property that's a nuisance abatement, I can create a flag for that address. So if they're checking out an address for a break-in or something like that, they'll be able to communicate with my information, my records, to say, well, that's a county-owned property, it's under nuisance abatement currently. They'll be able to look at that information. It's to help share data easier than having everything so isolated within each department. Granted, you do have the ability to restrict access on certain things, because some things you just want to keep within your department, but you have the ability to do that.
I think one of the key things that Jerry shared with me that the Spillman does is from a standpoint of warrants being issued throughout the county. A lot of times if the Border PD picks somebody up and they'll say, run locals on them. Well, they do run locals. They run Borger, but they don't always check with like code 12 and say, hey, run them through the county. And so we might have a county warrant, but they don't see that information. All they're seeing is Borger information. So with this shared database, they will see all the warrants, JP warrants, county court warrants, district court warrants. And
from the access of the vehicle too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you necessarily have to get all the dispatch and dispatch.
They won't have to have anyone run anything. They can just look them up. So super convenient for
Well, I
that.
apologize to have y'all enter into a sales pitch. I didn't mean that, but I was just curious, like, who's in charge of the department?
My goal with this was, since I was running the radio project and it rolled into that. So I saw that the opportunity, and they already had issues with Odyssey and getting the correct reporting, because they were gonna lose some grants. Which the grants, probably they could get, but would wipe out the whole purpose of the whole thing in the first place, because they weren't being able to get the reporting done with the other system. So I was like, well, if we could go to a system that's already being implemented in the county, or we'll do all your reporting you need, we could combine two systems into one, and have this ability to communicate. It's kind of like, I would like to see we push for that, see what happens. Then I just think it would be good, benefit the county. Then I could help implement the program, and then it would be, I guess, most of the information would be the sheriff's office and the jail, as far as where that would lie in the budget, of course.
So the 105 that's in the budget now, let me tell you what that goes for. The 95 for the startup cost for the Spillman. And then they have a cross match fingerprint thing that comes out of there. It's $400. Now, how much are y'all using that sheriff's office app?
I would rather use.
Because that's the app to web host for the app is $29.95. We're paying that a year, $55 a year for the domain, and an app service of $2,400 for that sheriff's department app.
I mean, it's a good app to do push notifications and stuff like that, but you have to have the app downloaded. I don't know how many people.
Yeah, I wonder if y'all have any, like, do you have any history? Like, do you know if anyone's even accessing that?
I don't either.
I have another, so, in my budget, we have Everbridge, which is our current mass notification system. If we have a disaster or something, we can send a mass notification out to the public. But we also use it on an internal side, so y'all get those little notifications if the air conditioner broke or whatever.
Right.
We use the same system for that. We have a public aspect to the Everbridge, where we could set the sheriff's office up on that, where they would do like a text in alert type, like if they wanted to know if there was a community issue going on, the sheriff's office wanted to push to the public, we could set up a QR code read or a text in, like text 888.
Like we did that when we had the coronavirus Hutch Health thing. Yeah.
So that we could set it up on the sheriff's office account to do that same thing for what we're already paying for, because I have unlimited amount of accounts with that system. It's not gonna be as fancy as far as a web page. You get notifications out simultaneously on a Facebook page, on the sheriff's office page, you can include that in there. Twitter account, we can do all these things, get that one. Might be an option. Say, well,
I see what people on Facebook want more to access. They don't even have to have the app.
Well, I mean, we have, I think wasn't some of the thought behind the app is that people could see arrest records, or not arrest records, but like there's a part of the app. I got on there this weekend and was looking at it because I saw the expenses. I just wanted to see. I haven't accessed it in a long time, and so I guess you can see like the jail roster and.
It does have, we also a sex offender.
Oh, yeah, it does have that, but there's a database for that online, isn't there?
Yeah, we don't know how well versed the public is in locating.
Right.
I mean, there's pros and cons to it. I haven't spent a whole lot of attention on it. I'll be honest with you. So,
Yeah, because
it's not much.
it hasn't been updated in forever,
And
so.
I just go within the time to do an online deal to learn how to use it and access it.
So is that something that y'all want to continue, or, I mean,
We could probably keep the website. I don't know if the app will pictures. I wasn't here. I don't remember when all that stuff was.
Yeah, I mean, it was during Coker.
yeah,
I
because,
mean, but I mean, that's up to you. I mean, that's your utilization. I mean, that's your department, so.
I just don't know if the app is charged separately from the website. I don't know.
well, it says web host app, and because I looked at what comes out of that line item, and it's $29.95. The domain fee is $55, and the app service is $2,400. So I don't know, do you have to have all of that? I don't have a clue.
I can call on it and see if that could be good. I want to tell you something. that I don't know.
That's a total of about 5,500 just for that app. So that's all figured in that 105,000. But I took Odyssey out of that. And if you'll look at the jail computer support and maintenance is 0 now, because that's all rolled into the sheriff's office and jail. Computer support and maintenance. So y'all good with that?
On your squad cars, what, do you have an update on those yet?
Yeah, so I have 2 in the shop right now. They should have actually no problem with them. There's a third that's supposed to arrive. Then my plan is, if they get to working on that before October comes regardless. However much progress they have on that, when it comes near the end of September, I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna get the car, tell them whatever y'all done, the rest will just go ahead and finish out the. Here, we'll have the cars and have Joe put whatever. Into the cars. And then instead, and then we'll just have to change that. Quote, take away whatever parts that didn't put into it. Because the issue is, along with everything else, is waiting on some parts. So 2 of the patrol cars, the parts are in, they're getting finished up. The last third one, hopefully they have the parts and they can get it worked out. And I'll call him when I'm here.
So I dropped that down to 120.
Right, so it's gonna come out of this budget,
Yes, sir.
like the bills.
I still have 18,000 in the patrol car line item. If it looks like we're gonna go ahead and have that happen, I will go ahead and pull the equipment and move that out of that line item. And figure out this budget. I'll have to do that out of the next one.
And so out of that one, this is just me trying to nickel and dime, so not saying that this is what I'm trying to do. The past several years, there's only been, like 15,000, 10,000 come out of that area. What is your plan next year on cars? Have you thought of that?
Yeah, of course, we're gonna have quite a few more trade-in, we didn't trade in this year, so I don't know how much we'll get rebate off some of those vehicles. Just to get 2 new cars, the big coffers, and then have them completely outfitted. Like you said, 15,
Just the squad car usage on the last couple of years. I don't know the status on every single vehicle, the mileage and all that stuff. So my thought, just trying to think of where we might maybe hold, if we do the Stillman, trying to just look at 70,000 since we've made it, 9 months into your term without the new cars. I didn't know where we would be if we held off a year on 2 additional units and then pushed it to that next year. I didn't know if that might recoup some of that money or what I don't know where your cars are.
Yeah,
Status
the majority of them are, I have some that are over 110, our canine units didn't have to be replaced, our pickups over. Keeps driving the vehicle. Minus 2015 model, but the mileage is lower there, so the lower mileage it will kind of keep, some of them have been run ragged. But with the trade-in, I don't want quite a bit off, because I'll still get fairly decent value on trade-ins. I hate to give up any vehicles. I don't want to get cuts anywhere else. We've cut quite a few of the equipment. I am going to need some less lethal equipment and some hoses and armored shield, broken houses, stuff like that. Our armored vehicles will probably get from a 1033 program to the government, which will be free, so we need a number or something to provide that free. We've already applied for that grant. I do want to get a integrated camera system for our evidence room, because I think that's necessary for integrity purposes. We don't have that. Also, like booking, I'd like to get some equipment for booking evidence, and we're still using pen and paper, a lot of evidence before it goes into the evidence room. I don't know what another agency says for it. I could just get a computer system, and have this logging system, where we can get everything integrated online instead of pen and paper. So that'll all come out of that. That's the main stuff.
Thoughts, questions? Any more questions for the sheriff? So y'all okay with that budget? As it looks. Jail budget has the tasers, I think, in the equipment line that we approved. Monica come over and talk to y'all about those. Yeah, I think
Sheriff, you mentioned getting the government to pay for different things. Do we have somebody actively in the office trying to get grants for these types of things, like the cams and the settlement, like different upgrades? Because there's always gonna be like technological grants.
Chief Trahan is basically one of the six of them.
Okay.
Now, I can tell you that we could probably start looking for more. I do want to bring something up in one of the next commissioners. Well, there's a grant out there for an investigator that will solve some of our issues for extra personnel. Where we come up with, and the first year it'd be, they pay for 100%. The next year it'd be 80-20. So, so that's something we're looking at too. But we can see what we can get for grants, especially when it comes to all our armor and supplies. Usually, our armor expires every now and then, and so one vest generally runs about $1,400. We can probably get green and get that cut in half. So I'll work on getting that one too.
so. Then there would be the possibility that you wouldn't have to spend that money, right? You have it left over at the end of the year. We had a grant.
Sure.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes,
It'd be good.
yes. Okay, anything else on the sheriff's office or the jail?
Oh, I have one more. Sorry. Uniforms, the last time we had 5,000 this year and then it's raised to 7,500. Laura said that we're over this year, but she said that it was because we were overdrawn on previous invoices.
Yeah, I don't
So-
remember how much it was, like $1,200 was, his budget from last.
The 2 years before that, there's only been like 3,200 and 2,000, and then last year was almost 6,000, and this year 6,000. Are we gonna have? Do you anticipate having a lot of more uniforms to buy, or can we keep that at 5,000 this year if everything's paid up and what kind of current?
Yeah, I could probably make it work. What I'd like to do, and I'll talk to Chief Tran about this, the issue, every time a new sheriff comes in, I want to change everything and just this. So I understand that. I did the same thing. What I'd like to do is get a uniform set and then bring it to you guys, as some other counties have done, and have that basically said as this is the sheriff's office uniform. That way, regardless if I get reelected or if I don't, whoever comes in, that uniform inventory will remain the same. It won't be, it will be changed, maybe the badge will be changed, whatever. That being said, whoever new comes in, we have an inventory of uniform because what we're running into is what we ran into with Dawn, he changed them. So we've got a bunch of black shirts with gray pants up there. We still have some guy route that were different colored pants and shirts. And then we have some from Sheriff Cover, which are the brown and the tan, and some of those have been changed as well. So we end up with a whole inventory of the past, 4 different sheriffs that were elected, and we don't have anything to do with it. I don't do it around because I want to try to do something a little bit more updated. That being said, I'd like to get this, and another issue we ran into is the quality of uniforms that have been purchased in the past. I can speak of that as a deputy. Some of them were trash, and so We've got deputies that are ripping them, tearing them, and so they have to get new ones. And then I'd rather us go with a good uniform company, to start out with, get some decent uniforms, the ones that fit well and that are durable, and then years on as we need to, we can go ahead and replace some ransom. And get just a set uniform down.
And this is my ignorance. Is that something that all counties do? Like we pay for it out of their budget, or do law enforcement sometimes have to buy their own uniforms that are specific?
No, it's
to them?
generally, it's all, every agency I've been at is provided by the
It's all
agency.
budget.
And on top of that, a lot of agencies, they pay for boots for the people as well. We don't do that.
So when they're let go or they leave or anything, they turn it all back in.
They keep their boots.
Right.
Okay. Stuff like that, but yes, sir.
So I have heard of that. I've talked to maybe some other counties that are doing the same thing. They've adopted a uniform for the sheriff's department, and that can't be changed from sheriff to sheriff. Now that the patch like that they have on, that it can be changed because it's easily replaceable and not nearly as costly. So I've talked to some other counties that are doing that or have gone to that where the total uniform can't be changed. So it just saves money from year to year or sheriff to sheriff.
So that's a lot of money. You have
Wait, there should just be boxes and boxes of old
Yeah, there's
uniforms.
backs. I mean, we've got old vests up there that are from early 2000s, but we just got. Well, if we can find an agency that wants to take them, otherwise we'll cut them off along the way.
We have to get approval from the court first. And I guess you could throw them in the burn pile if no one wants them.
wear some for Halloween. Is that legal?
Maybe we'll touch that.
So did we need to do something with that line item?
All right, do you plan on buying a lot of new ones?
So I wanted to go, I've got a professional uniform that I wanted to go to. I've got the guys in now, it's just walking and keep getting called game wardens, so I'm trying to get away from that. So I will have a proposed uniform coming up, and I will get everyone a nice thing to stick to that, and that's the way it will be. Same with that, it's something that is something I'm gonna do. However, for the next year, if we stay with the same uniform, we'll significantly cut that. We'll be 4,000. And a lot of the uniform that people can use to replace uniform in there as well. So, I will use uniform that we for a lot of dry cleaning and stuff like that. We should have some of that in here, so I don't see a problem replacing here on out. Uniform here, uniform there.
He's got a plan, so I'm fine with leaving the uniform. I mean, that's his
So it's,
first year in office. I mean.
It's
you have a plan,
7,500.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
okay.
Kind of see, you'll have a better idea kind of what you want to do the next year. I'm fine with
Okay.
it. I'm fine with it.
Okay, any other questions y'all have on this?
I'll also say, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
We've greatly reduced with the graphics that we went to. They're not gonna cost nearly as much as the other ones. We went with very simple design on it, so it really didn't cost us $2,000 or $2,500 or it's like $400 for that.
Anything else? Okay, nothing on the jail? Where we at? Juvenile? It's been approved by the juvenile board.
I will only have a question with the juvenile one. They have, in 2017 and 18, they had in vacation and sick leave, 8,000. They have used 0, and then on request, they're asking 18.
Because Cindy Poland is retiring. And that's figured in.
Oh. okay,
Yeah, that's why.
okay.
Because we have to pay her. She's one of those few remaining employees that gets their sick leave
I
paid
think y'all
for.
talked about that. I just didn't know where it went. And then the salary officer and then the justice of the peace, or not just juvenile probation officer.
JPO.
Yeah. There's 2 different salaries. Who is who? I was just confused. One's right.
The assistant right now is Cindy.
So she's the second salary.
The office manager is April.
Okay.
Receptionist is Suzanne. And the JPO is one of the officers. Is John currently? Yeah,
Okay, and then the salary officer.
that's the chief. Jeremy.
Oh, okay. I was confused. I got all those titles mixed
Yeah,
up
I
in my
know.
head. I didn't know who was the JPO.
Well, then they have other officers that are paid through the state funds too.
Right, like Brian Watson.
Well, he's contract,
He's contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
like Jennifer and
Amber.
Amber are both paid out of the state portion
Oh,
of that
okay.
budget that we get money from the state from.
Just, yes, it washes. Okay. All right, I'm sorry, I was just.
No,
confused
that's
on
fine.
that. That's the only question I have for that.
Okay. Adult probation,
Wow.
that's the portion that the county, oh, I'm sorry.
That's something on the juvenile.
Yeah, sure.
The interpreter and the radio repair at 2,500. We had what was the JP had 100 for interpreter?
I think, yeah.
I mean, neither one of those have been used the last 3 years. So radio repair, do we
Is that you,
source
Jerry,
that out? Or
again?
is that going to be covered? now?
It's Jerry.
All those radios have been covered in the purchase. I don't, all the radios here are replaced. So I
Right.
wouldn't think that-
So that could be 0 on radio repair.
Because that's the same radios that, I mean, we have the warranty on, right?
Right.
And then what you wanted the interpreter for what we use at the JP court to be the same?
No. I was just asking.
Oh.
I don't know I mean, I don't know how much it costs on that. I mean, do we need, if they haven't used an interpreter or paid for one in the last 4 years, do we need all 1,000 in there? Or would like 500 since there's 100 in the JP? I'm not a pro on that. Once again, like I said, I was. just
I don't know.
trying
I
to
can
get
talk to
done.
Jeremy about that.
See the possibility of
I mean,
leaving an interpreter.
Right,
But
yeah, I don't want to take away that.
a lot of times when we did need an interpreter, we just find someone or say, well, you're gonna have to bring someone with you to help interpret, and then we'd swear them in and, so there wasn't really a huge need for an interpreter, unless,
But the normal pay is $100 when somebody does that.
50. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think that,
I mean, we had 100 in our budget because when we did pay one time, we paid 50, I think.
1,000 is way too much.
Okay, I will talk to Jeremy about those and then take it to the juvenile board for approval if we need to make changes, because they'll have to approve that.
Martin.
Okay. County welfare, any
And then-
questions?
Well, and then on the adult probation, I had the same
Yeah.
question about the radios. We have 2,000 in there, and it's not being used. And so if that's covered under our current
Well-
radios, that's,
So, as far as adult probation, I don't cover any of the radios. So I don't know anything
we just
about
haven't spent anything out of it.
their, other than-
Yeah, I don't know. I can ask. Let me make myself a note.
There's another two.
Okay.
It's the same on the equipment. Haven't had any expenditure. Oh, there's 766.
But
They-
they also might have added that last year.
Yeah, they get a lot of
For-
state funds too, so they try to cover most of what they can with their state funds. And then use the county funds if they need to. Okay, any questions on, any more questions on probation? So county welfare, any questions? Child welfare, any questions? They came and talked to us. I remember. Library. Any questions on the library?
Can we drop, I was thinking about that, the 4,500 our building maintenance. We went up really high because it was the roof last year, that revenue.
I dropped
expenditure.
it to 8,000.
Yeah, we dropped that to
5,000.
Yeah, because we haven't had a lot of.
650.
I wanna cut-
Yes.
cut some more out of it.
650.
What's the last number on that?
4,500.
4,500. Sorry.
We're gonna drop it to what?
5.
The last couple of years, we've only used 1,500 and 2,100. I cut my budget too whenever, or their budget, whenever I can. I think we can make it with that. 'Cause a lot of that went into the AC the last couple of years, but those have been completely redone. And now if we get the LED stuff, there shouldn't be a whole lot of,
Hopefully we'll get the grant for that.
2 weeks, we'll find out.
Yes.
And that's also why, if you'll look in the capital improvements of the library, you'll see that 15,000 this year hasn't been used. We're trying to, I'm waiting to see what that is. If you can go through your budget again and see. Hopefully I can drop that in a couple weeks or going forward
Right.
for sure.
Okay,
That's
any
all I had
other
on the
questions on the library? Extension? Nope. I think the next budget is okay, you'll see on page 48, the courthouse security. I put that 45,000 in there, which will come out of that courthouse security fund for the cameras at the annex.
Oh. This is probably a question I should know the answer to, but on the court technology fees,
What page are you on?
I don't know, I was just on the general of the worksheet.
Okay,
My pages are different than yours.
oh,
About
12,
42.
okay, I got it.
So on those total expenditures, when we're not, why do we put those in there when we don't necessarily spend out of it? Is there a reason? Like some of these funds that we put these like 5,000, we haven't, this year, we haven't used any of it.
Well, year-to-date actual 3,903.
That's revenue. The expenditure part.
Well,
Like, do we cancel, like those just cancel out on the paper? For budgeting purpose on setting these totals, when we have that revenue and we're bringing it in, that's also counting as an expenditure, that it just cancels out for the
No,
accounting?
Like on the court technology, the office equipment, I didn't look at that budget, but maybe whoever that was, maybe they asked to put 5,000 in, do you know?
no,
I mean, they usually ask, like Robin's, her district clerk, records management, and her record preservation fund, or Jan's
Right.
records management, they asked to put those expenses in.
Yeah, that's why I noticed that one, that if we're gonna bring in 4,300, that should just be a plus almost 5,000 instead of
Well, you gotta,
8620.
okay.
I just didn't know what that was planned to be, because I remember like Robin was mentioning the books and
Uh-huh.
different things in the other funds.
Yeah, I don't know about that court technology. I don't know. That's the clerks and the JPs. Did you have any?
I mean, normally, I didn't request one. And I don't, I mean, normally the JPs have $3,000 each in their court technology for like, that they say, hey, we want to have this available in case we need to buy new computers or what, you know, there's a variety of things they can use their court technology fee for.
'Cause
So-
the book for Robin's in that 11,000 of the next fund, the records management.
Right.
That's what that 11,000.
What fund, what page is
My,
that?
my numbers,
Oh,
it's
you're-
the one right after technology. My numbers on this, and I can't tell you the fund. it had them all.
13,
So I
no,
apologize.
not
That's
13.
probably about
14.
38 or 44.
Records management
It's just the next page.
is 13.
No, that's county records management.
Oh, yep.
That's not the one.
Oh,
She's,
what- What's that one? 'Cause there's a-
38. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say, so what's the 11,000 in county records? Do we remember that one?
Oh, county records?
County records management. Last year, there was office equipment for 74,336. Well, didn't we buy some?
That's where we bought the computers. County
Oh,
records
that's right.
management.
That's right. We sure did.
But I'm saying that we're putting that in the budget for 11,000 this year too.
Current budget is 10, miscellaneous 1,000. I think that was something.
And that's 16,000 right there that we zeroed out. Without knowing.
See if I can tell you.
I mean, surely everybody's got computers by now.
Oh my gosh.
Giving you anything on county records in there.
I'm looking.
Now, Chris, you asked if that was Robin's book.
Yeah, but that would be,
It's
that
not.
wouldn't be the.
No, that is in there because the year before, we budgeted 74,000 because we spent it on computers.
Right.
Or we spent 74 on computers. And so I guess we left 10 in there and we just didn't look at that. If you don't want to buy any computers out there, zero it out.
And that's probably exactly right. It just has gotten overlooked.
Settle.
The only other thing that fund, that county records is really under miscellaneous, we have 1,000. Well, if, say my office, if I needed filing cabinets and it's budget, and if it's budgeted there, then I can come to the court first before I order those filing cabinets and purchase them out of that. But I
Right.
gotta come to the court
But it has,
first.
there's only certain things.
Yeah.
That
It's
can be
like-
taken.
It's, you know, like filing cabinets, files, things like that. It's records retention stuff.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been a request for that
And
one.
we probably
There
can
has
zero
for,
that.
so, okay, let me make myself know. That's Fund 13.
13, 696, 5700.
And also the 12 technology, we don't have any requests on that.
And Fund 12.
Yes, there's 5,000 in there.
Under office equipment,
The court tech, I'm just looking at the
Yeah.
budget, the
12,
worksheet, so I can.
458, 5700.
Fund 12. Say that again, Kathy.
I'm sorry, Cindy, 12,
I've got,
458, 5700.
Okay. Okay. All out. Um,
Record management. We got through the revenue.
what's the revenue?
For management's Jan. 117.
How much did I ask for that?
20.
So I pay a monthly thing out of that to Avenue for our indexing. That's what I pay on that. And courthouse minutes or commissioners court minutes.
That's about, what page we were on.
Oh.
I was wondering. I was seeing if anyone needed that. I thought this was.
The law library, Fund 18.
That fund, we get money in from the clerks, both clerks, but we also, if we need, if they budget for that, spend out of it, we have to, like the DI or whoever budgets that law library.
Right.
I don't know who it is. We've got 15,000 budgeted. Well, if they're not getting in, as you can see, if they don't have enough coming in, 8,000 or whatever, then we transfer it from general to law library.
We haven't gone over 10,000 the last 4 years. So
No.
could we
And is
drop that
that
to
the
10?
one, Mark, that Craig is not? Is there something in the law library that Craig's not using again?
Because they're just using, what's it called?
I don't know.
Yes, Nexus Lexus. So I don't actually use the books. But I'm sure they pay for a subscription to that.
Yeah, there was some subscription though that we talked to him about that he wasn't gonna do. I don't
Send a
know.
couple worksheet and a budget summary. Actually.
Oh,
It's still important.
Mike had printed books and he's not getting them.
Not on the summary.
He's doing online stuff.
But I think he dropped his line item. So, and that Fund 18, could we drop that
I'm on the-
on the books and computer? It's, the current budget is 15. We haven't spent over 8. So you want to drop it to 10?
Yeah.
Yes.
5,900. 4, 7, 6, 5,900. 10,000. Okay, the next one's adult probation state. Those are figures we don't have any control over.
And I met with Jennifer. I thought that those in there.
Okay, so. Juvenile state, the juvenile boards approved those also.
Oh, the 0 pages, those are, we leave those in just for accounting purposes or?
Well,
Sometimes
probably,
we-
I was gonna call Encode, and I haven't gotten it done yet. There's a thing on our, on those screens that it says you can put them in active. And have you ever talked to Encode about that? I haven't either. I need to talk to Encode. I'll try to call them.
Just get some of that trash
Try to
out of
get some
there.
of that out. It won't delete them completely, but it'll get it.
Just when we run this kind of things,
Yeah.
they
I know when I
won't
look
show.
at it every month.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
confusing.
On the website, it has all those. 0
Yeah.
pages
Right,
on it.
I'll call Encode about that.
What is juvenile special? I was curious about that.
Probation fees that the juveniles have to pay. So,
Okay. So we have a revenue and an expenditure in there. Okay.
and Jeremy is over that, but
Okay.
I get a little bit of money in every month from the juveniles, maybe $30, maybe 200.
I just noticed it was dues and then miscellaneous.
And then
I
they
didn't know
can
what that
spend
was.
certain expenditures out of that.
Okay.
Child support fund 27 is Robin's. Very little in on
What does she spend that on? What?
it. She can spend it on a number of things, you know. She only wanted 500, but
Is that what I put in there?
Fund 29 is Jan again, record archive.
At like 30.
So I want to digitize some more land
Right.
records and also some commissioner court minutes. And I have a plan that I'll have to present. We have to have a public hearing and present the plan for your approval. But I think I sent that out to y'all for the next.
For the next meeting.
So that's what, I don't have to do it. I think it's good to digitize and get all that on the
Mhm.
computer. And
She
we've,
gets quite a bit of revenue in on it.
mhm,
Makes it easily accessible.
right, and we've not gone back on commissioner court minutes since I started in 2011 on that. So the old ones are not on there. So we rely on the books.
On the DA check fee,
What-
we have,
Is there a fund or something?
yeah, Rich, just keep going. My fund numbers are cut off, so it's after the county attorney check fee. We just keep going down the fund.
31?
I didn't write the fund balance. I printed it
That's
at the
okay.
end,
Yeah, I
just
got
in
you.
order.
Okay.
We have 5,000 in there and there's been no expenditures out the last 4 years. So we know there's a little bit of money that comes in, but not anything going out.
Is that the check fee or is that the?
The check fee.
forfeiture?
The check fee, yes,
So
sir.
where you at?
It's Fund 31.
It's what?
31. Fund 31. See the funds up right here.
Well, they have
Oh, we're not there yet. That's what's going on.
$1,000 in tax roll, okay? They probably, I don't even know if Mark even looks at that. Is that the one, Cindy, that we spent for some software or something out of last year, maybe?
haven't used that in 4 years.
No,
Well, I guess it
The
was-
forfeiture fund has been used the last 2.
In the forfeiture fund, 7,500 for an expense on Fund 32. That won't cut it because they don't have the 1,500, 1,600 in that account. Unless they get some money, some forfeiture in.
Actually, that could be budgeted when the activity happens, because they never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we probably should zero that 75 out.
Can we,
That's in Fund 32.
can we zero the check fee out too if it's not being used?
Yeah, they never, I don't know how they could ever use it.
Okay.
Okay, the check fee, did they have anything budgeted on that?
Yeah, it's broke down into,
yeah.
it has administrative fees, miscellaneous expenses, equipment, library.
They don't do that stuff anymore. They used to years ago.
Yeah, I would think you
Okay,
could,
Fund 31.
I would think, but now I don't know what Mark, Hyder thinks.
We can always change these next week if we get answers and stuff.
Okay.
I'll get right there. What will he?
Probably 34 drug court.
Yes.
I mean, there's some that comes in through the fines and fees, but the majority of money was transferred from the general to the
County.
drug court.
Right. So, and he's asked for a $5,000 increase this year. Because I think they were, his explanation was that they had not given Ryan or the contract counselor or the contract attorney a raise since they started. They just gave them a
So
little
you
bit.
already
of
have
raise.
that in, right?
Yes, I have the 60
And
in.
the drug test.
Yes,
Specialized Drug test.
yes.
Yeah, that's right. It's a little higher.
$42 is the next one, special.
The road and bridge. Okay.
Yes, that's cool. Thing I noticed really strange in here, I've always wondered about this, why $80,000 worth of fuel, you can't run this department on $80,000 worth of fuel. I've never understood how you can do that. That's enough fuel to keep about 4.5 to 5 guys busy.
Well, you can see
Well,
they've
they
spent,
turn in their tickets, and that's what it's coded to them. That's what the actual expenditures are meant.
I mean, you can see they've spent 91,925, 100,000. So they've gone over that line item every time.
We're 62,408 this year, but honestly, I can't see spending 300,000 in new equipment and no fuel put in.
So what do you want to do?
Well, what I would like to do is, before you keep getting carried away spending, is get the odometer readings and the hour meter readings to see how much stuff is used. And then you can decide what you should be spending. If it ain't being used, you shouldn't be spending money on it. Hour meters and odometers is a pretty good way to see. I would increase the fuel, lower the, I wouldn't raise the budget. I'd lower the equipment and raise the fuel.
Okay, so I asked Dwayne earlier because I was curious about that 300,000 too. And he sent me this, that for 2021, 2022, the budgeted equipment, estimate cost and values, one grader for 275 with a $40,000 trade-in comes to 235. Two 15-foot mowers for 40,000 with a trade-in of 16 comes to 24,000. And one pickup for 38,000 with a trade-in of 6,500 comes to 31,500. So total equipment expenses 290,500.
That's his anticipated purchasing for next
Yes.
year. That's what he.
Yeah, that's his budget request for equipment. But it looks like we probably do need to raise that fuel up a little.
Well, no, I know, just go look at other counties and, some of our local counties around here. Apple Tree, Carson, Gray, Irwin, 180 to 200,000 on fuel budgets. They use most of that.
Sorry, we just think they're shooting themselves low on the fuel. I guess I'm confused. We need to add more to the fuel.
If you're gonna keep buying stuff, you need to fill up fuel. That's my point. If you can't fill it up, you don't have the fuel to run it, it just sits in the run. I think you go with the odometer, you're probably gonna see some of that.
It's only at 62 or 08. What you're saying is you don't think the equipment's running.
It's not running nothing like this.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I'm trying
But
to.
my point is, if you keep buying more, we probably need to use it.
But I wouldn't just add fuel unless.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can get that clarified this week, because we don't have to decide. I mean, we can find out and then kind of talk about that next time.
If the odometers I've checked, they're not running much. I'm surprised the county doesn't have an odometer deal every year for all vehicles in the county, see how much stuff is used.
Gotta work on it.
Yeah, I'd love to. But I think years ago.
I don't even know anything about
I
it.
think years ago, they did keep a odometer. That way, when you see, well, how much is something used, it's this much, this much, this much.
But it also answer the question, like I was asking the sheriff about, because I have no clue about his cars either. And so if we have that where we can say, well, we get a plan of saying, this is what we want to buy the next year. And we say, well, this one is, it definitely is way high.
See, my thing is this, you take trucks that should run 3/4 of a million miles, and you use them maybe 8,000 miles a year. We're not gonna live long enough for these trucks out there. But how could you, 10 years, you might have less than 100,000 miles. You have to keep this stuff 100 years to wear it out. Because it's not used. But the worst part of that is we don't just buy one or two. We buy 6 new Mack trucks back to back. 1 year. You think, well, wait a minute, this doesn't work. So,
Yeah, we do across the board with sheriffs and airports.
yeah, I think we need an odometer.
I think all, all insured vehicles.
Every rolling piece of equipment and the tires, everything. And then you have questions, do you use that? All you have to do is lose your log. I think what people were doing, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So who's gonna get on that?
Ben's got knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know
I
anything
have no
about it.
clue about that, so
Okay.
that's not.
So-
We need a mileage log, really bad.
Okay.
Because if
Can
we're
work on
not
that.
using stuff, we don't need to keep buying more. But I really would. They're staying within the fuel budget, but.
So currently, everything from the information we know, it's good on road and bridge.
It is what it is.
That was the last one, right, Kathy? Oh, no.
You got
At
funds,
the airport.
81,
airport,
80,
and then
yeah.
81 museum.
Yeah, museum, yeah.
So on the, I don't know how far ahead y'all skipped, but before the airport.
Okay.
2 funds before the airport, the district court records, I don't have the numbers.
Records preservation?
Is that where she put the book, or did she put it in the records, where your 30,000 was too? 'Cause the district, Robin has 20,000 in that fund, and then this one has 10,000 this year, and there's
What,
not been.
didn't
used
you
at
look
all.
at one of those, Kathy?
Okay, Fund 45.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I don't know my numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
It's on page, well,
127.
127. It's
This
the
is Fund 45.
district court records preservation.
Yeah, that's 10,000. That's her book.
And she has the money for that, right?
Yes.
So back in the records archives, county clerk,
What fund is that? 38?
these numbers aren't written. I'm gonna have to write them down next time.
Let me look.
It's the one that had, Jan had mentioned her books.
Oh.
30,000.
Archive.
Right, but there's also a district clerk that has a $20,000 line item
38.
in that one.
Fund 38?
So I can find.
Records management, that's records management.
Yeah, sorry. I'm in the wrong.
Records management.
It's printed off well, but then
Yeah,
after
Fund
90
38
pages, I
's
don't
only
know.
got $2,000. So it's gonna be 44, 45.
It's 40,
44,
oh,
15.
17 is records management. That's what, yeah, it's 17.
No, that's James.
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It's Fund 45.
29,
That's me.
that's Jan, okay, 44,
That district clerk?
It's gonna be 29.
That's me.
that's Jan.
But we have a
For
district- we have a
30,000?
21 for district.
45 is district court records preservation, change from 6,500 to 10,000 for book restoration. Thank you, Rob.
On
So then-
29,
29
That's
is
me.
Jan.
it also has a district clerk with 21,000.
Oh, that's not me.
Yeah, and I had a question about that too.
So one of,
I think you and I talked about that, or I had a little question mark.
I figured that was her book. But it's the other one, that one's not. That one hadn't been used for 4 years at all, for 21,000.
I need to ask her about that.
I think I had a question about that, but I don't know why.
Yes, 20 in.
21.
Twen-
In the current budget, 21,000, but nothing's been spent. There's 21,000 in the requested budget.
I just thought it was the book that you're talking about until we came to this page. Just now.
So are you gonna ask her about that?
I'll ask her about that.
You'll let me know?
Yes.
Before I realized my numbers were cut off, I was like, I'm not doing that again.
pay the airport.
So on the airport, on that grant, and this might be a Dennis question. I don't know how much
Yes.
you talked to him about it. The Corning grant, it's like 3.1 million that we were awarded,
Mhm.
apart from the ramp grant. How do we get all that? How is that accounted for on our end here as far as like revenue and?
Well, we would have had to pay another 340,000.
We had originally budgeted in that grant line
Yeah.
item 46814810. I had 356,000 or something in there.
Yeah, and that's gonna be
But-
covered.
We dropped it back to the 50, which is just the basic grant he gets every year.
But what about the Corning grant is what I'm asking. Like, where is that? We were
Like,
awarded,
where's the money come in
Yeah.
and go out at?
Right. or what is it
Mark?
used for? What, I mean,
Which grant you talking?
The
about?
airport.
It was the one that Corning announced that we were getting like 3.1 through the aviation. I can find the exact name. It's not ramp grant or anything like that. It was like 2 months ago it was awarded. And it was in the newspaper. It was through Corning was the announcement. And it was like $3 million.
Yeah, yeah. That had nothing to do with the ramp
And
grant.
it's not ramp grant.
No.
It's not normal grants. It's
I'm not sure we received that. I think we just have to match it, do our matching. I think it goes through the state.
I don't think we have a match.
I'll call Dennis this week and just see what I can find out. 'Cause I mean,
Yeah,
Most
I
of those
think,
expenditures go through the state and we don't ever receive it.
So it's just like a reimbursable grant.
Like they just, pay that off. Yeah. If we haven't extended.
I'd like to know what's covered in it too, because the furniture thing, the question on that is, I mean, that's 10,000 right there. That
Mhm.
I just don't know how much we're gonna be able to use at what purpose.
yeah, and then the beacon. That may be covered by the ramp grant. Beacon,
I think he
going to digital.
said, I think he said it was
LED.
in that airport meeting. I think he said it was
Yeah.
covered by the ramp grant.
Yeah, yeah. Because I asked him about that. I said, well, we can use that money for that. And he said, no, it's covered by the ramp grant. So,
And everything's covered right now, and we got that extra grant. I mean, we're
Yeah.
gonna be able to use that.
yeah.
So,
Well, we've got lighting problems, all kinds of stuff.
yeah, all the extracurricular, I'd like to use it as much as we can, because it sounded more runway infrastructure, but we've already did that through Texas.
Yeah, and we've done some roof repairs on the hangars.
And yeah, if hangar repairs
Yeah,
account, we
yeah.
could put that. towards it.
We need to do some more on some of the doors on the big hangars. So,
You might, I know you're over there, but do you mind if I call him and ask? I don't want to
No,
overstep.
no,
I didn't know
no.
if you wanted to touch base with.
no.
I just always wanted to
Okay,
check.
anything else on the museum? I mean, the airport.
I'm good.
Okay, museum. Fund 81.
Hmm.
No questions on that one. That's it. Done. Okay, did we decide on, or did we decide on a raise? Did we make that decision? And Kathy, when, like, you need to know that
Today,
today.
I need to start figuring those, and then I need to put those in the budget so that y'all can have an approved budget in September.
Really have a figure on how much we saved from the cuts.
Well, we might not have, I mean, it's not gonna be substantial.
Yeah, I don't think anything.
Mhm.
No,
Well, those funds, if we zero these out, I mean, those funds are about 75,000,
Yeah, but that's not general money though.
but
that's funds. Yeah, it doesn't,
we still have to budget those expenditures, though, don't we?
Yeah, you do have to, but that doesn't affect your ad valorem money
Right.
coming in and stuff. going out. Cause those funds, that Chris is talking about, those have money in them.
They're funded
Yeah.
by court cost or
They're not
whatever.
really funded by our budget.
Right.
I still feel comfortable with 125.
Is that everyone's?
Because I'm going to think a percentage. If you start thinking percentage and you start thinking dollar amount, you're messed up. Either pick a dollar amount and not really get focus on percentage, or if you're thinking percentage, then do percentage. But I'm thinking dollar amount, 125 sounds good. I'm not gonna go back and see how much percentage that is in. Because then you'll just shoot yourself in the foot.
That's gonna come to, probably what,
219,924. Yep. Is everybody good with that? Yes, yes, no, no comment. Consensus is
Yeah.
125 across the board. Okay, got that. All right, we'll get some figures together. Get all this, the rest of this stuff figured out, run another. And then we'll be ready to hopefully set the tax rate. Have a public hearing at our next meeting. So that's today, the 16th. Okay, anything else? Can you think of anything else? Okay, I guess,
So the 125, are you also giving that to the maintenance guy that you gave the
No.
7,000 to?
No. Or I say no, I'm sorry.
I agree.
I wouldn't do that. No, not double.